damn it, yeah! Welcome, everybody, you little jabronis. What's going on, everybody? It's the One Shot Killers Podcast. I'm your host, Hardcore Icon Brand, with your co-host, the King of Bone Style, JoJo Valvano, and Dylan from Last Week in Washington Podcast.
What's going on, everybody? How are we doing tonight?
What's up, guys?
Doing pretty good. How are y'all doing?
Good.
It's good. I'm excited for this one.
Back to back, mind you. Back to back, yes.
You see it?
Right here.
Back to back shows. We're also on the Last Week in Wrestling podcast as well. And so thank you, Dylan, for having us on yours, and I appreciate you being on ours. And last night was a lot of fun and for a SummerSlam, and now another part from last night is AEW Collision, and I thought this delivered probably better than SummerSlam. This might be.
Thank you, bro. I said this.
I enjoyed SummerSlam. I don't want to take away from SummerSlam. Don't think I'm talking shit about it. I just feel like in some way, I don't know what to say about it, but I thought AEW just kind of delivered just a little more this time.
What I tell you, bro, that's why I had both of them on, because I knew one way or another the other one was going to be better, which it ended up happening. SummerSlam was good, but it wasn't great.
For me, it was the women's matches on SummerSlam. And for you, I know you could add in Cody versus Brock. I'm not going to really shit on that one for me because I kind of thought it was funny when Lesnar split his pants and then fucking...
it just was lame, man. Same old shit.
It is, but, it had great storytelling, fucking Cody gets beat up. Cody wants to challenge Brock to a fight. Brock Lesnar doesn't show up, and then next week he beats him up, and then Cody challenges him to a fight. It was great shit. But in all seriousness now, one of the things I want to take away, and that I took away from Collision, is that fucking piece of shit, Ricky Starks. Who the fuck?
You, Ricky. Whoa. He's a legend.
He's not no fucking piece of shit, all right?
He beat the shit out of Ricky.
Let's just calm down, everybody, all right? He didn't just beat the mollywomp piss out of fucking Steamboat, all right? He showed his true value. And he is absolutely a heel. And it's honestly very exciting. Honestly. I mean, for sure, Brandon, what you were saying between SummerSlam and Collision, there was a lot of, missed opportunities in SummerSlam. I know we talked about it last night and everything. And Collision did have its very high peaks out of it all coming out of that show. There were some moments that were like, okay, whatever. But, all in all, I think they kind of battled each other perfectly.
Here's where it actually hurts me to say that, and I have the text message to prove it. JoJo was so fucking hyped for Collision yesterday morning. I told him, brother, I will record Collision. I want to watch SummerSlam. It's a Big Four pay-per-view. Yeah. I know Raw and SmackDown sucks, but WWE typically deliver on the pay-per-views. I do not want to miss SummerSlam. I'll miss Collision and watch SummerSlam. So that's exactly what I did. And so it kind of bothers me just a little bit to come on here right now and tell you that man was right and I was wrong.
Drink it in, man.
I don't know if I could say that. And I love the both of you very much, but I don't know if I could say that. SummerSlam definitely delivered overall for what I thought it was going to be. A lot of the matches were very predictable. There were no big returns, which I think is very lackluster. I wish that they did have some returns. They're considering the Dakota Kai return, even though she's not returning and she has a while before the injury is fully done and healed and she can actually start competing back in the squared circle. Though the ending, like Jordan was saying, was wild with Jimmy being the one to betray his own brother. But before all of that, comparing the first match of Collision with the first match of SummerSlam, I give it to SummerSlam more. I think Logan and Ricochet put on a hell of an opener. And whether or not we liked the outcome of that match, more or less, more some than others, it definitely was a good start to the pay-per-view compared to where they ended it overall.
Yeah.
Now, I know this is a Collision show, so I'll keep more Collision topic based, but Collision was good. I'm not going to lie. It was good. I did enjoy the main event. The fact that FTR challenging the Young Bucks, was the main focus of the show. I'm sorry, Sean, then I would definitely step out of this conversation because we're going to be talking all things AEW. So if you haven't watched it, buddy, I definitely suggest maybe putting a pause on this episode and coming back to it. But Collision overall was good. The fact that we're getting a possible rubber match out of FTR and the Young Bucks for All In is very exciting.
Yes, sir.
But it's not a match I think I'm excited to see in All In. I don't think it's All In worthy. I think it's All Out worthy. I feel like can you give me your all right. So the fact that we have MJF and Adam Cole as the main event for All In as of now is exciting enough. I know I had Deontay today on my podcast today. We talked briefly about AEW and stuff, and as exciting as seeing my tribal king, my tribal chief MJF. Throw the ones up for them.
The living legend.
The real legend of Long Island right here.
Finally, someone agrees.
To me, it's good. It's great. It's excellent. I hope it's not the main event, though.
Wait, what?
Out of the AEW,
I know that they are, but I kind of hope that they're not.
So out of the AEW champions, Dylan, I just got to know, who do you fuck with?
I love that. Right. I mean, MJF for sure. Long Island Blood. That's just
CM Punk or MJF.
Oh, MJF. No Punk. Sorry, not even remotely close. And it goes to what he's done and how he's acted, and same with Ronda. Like, again.
You see what? Hold on, wait. I want to go back to what you just said. Did you see what Ronda fucking did yesterday before SummerSlam?
No.
During all the media events?
No.
Talking, maybe not yesterday. It was probably day before or some shit. But going on like all these different fucking radio shows, talking shit about fucking company again. She made it pretty much to me. She's on her. She made it clear to me she's on her way out the door.
Yeah, and that to me, I've had great conversations with a whole bunch of buddies of mine and stuff. To me, that's not a wrestler I want in my Wrestling Hall of Fame. Like with Hulk Hogan, I don't agree with what he said and done after what he's given to the business. Though he's given a lot to the business and was a shapeshifter in the beginning of the actual company, how he's portrayed himself after the fact is atrocious, and he should be taken out of the Hall of Fame for it, to be honest with you. If you want my honest opinion, I think that he should be taken out of the thing.
JoJo had an encounter with Hulk Hogan, and legit, this dead ass happened, and Hulk Hogan treated him like shit, like face to face, happened. And fucking so that I hate Hulk Hogan, but fucking the racist shit, and not only that, fucking I'll give you this. Hulk Hogan's career in ring was like what, 30, 40 fucking years. He never wanted to retire. And over all that time, he only lost about 15 matches clean.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
40 years, bro. 40 years. 15 matches clean.
Yeah, it's crazy. But again, going back to the topic at hand, I'm excited for MJF and Adam Cole. We're getting it. If we've noticed, I know we didn't really talk about it on the podcast today, but when he portrayed Roderick Strong in NXT, he hit the old knife in the back. He did the same to MJF when he hugged him. So we definitely think, at least I will definitely think that Adam Cole is about to do some grimy shit, which
he's turning on him.
All for. I'm all for.
That's what I thought. This is so. If you go back to our Dynamite review, I fucking told JoJo this, and it was before SummerSlam, and I told him, I said, "Bro, because he kept saying MJF's going to turn on Adam Cole. MJF's going to turn on Adam Cole. I said, bro,
It's the easiest.
what if Adam Cole fucks over MJF?
Right.
He-
And
Because think about
it's that image makes that idea more plausible. So I'm
because like
for it, honestly.
this
yeah.
this is why I think it could happen. I get everything with with Bobby Fish's exit, and it was kind of ugly, involving CM Punk and shit
Very
too.
ugly.
They brought back the Elite, they brought back Punk, they brought back Andrade. After all this skirmish, they brought back Sammy Guevara after 2 fights, one with Andrade, one with Eddie Kingston. I think that there's room for forgiveness if you can forgive all these other situations, and I honestly think there's a match down the road that should have happened before Kenny got injured when he was still the champion that never did, and that's Adam Cole in the Undisputed Era versus the Elite.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be fire.
Oh,
That'd be fire. That'd be
For
fire.
real, man,
That's a
but
really
like-
good idea. Listen, I'm all for good wrestling. If the story makes sense, I'm in for it. And with the athletes we have, comparing them to WWE, we are mixing wrestlers with superstars at that point. If you split the promotion in half and really see both sides of the fence, yes, there's a lot of great superstar wrestlers that are in WWE. Ricochet, Shinsuke, Tommaso, list goes on, Cody, but when you go then to AEW, you have a lot more skilled and professional wrestlers of different styles and cultures.
So I want to ask y'all something, because this has been on my mind, and I briefly brought it up as a hypothetical before. But if the old man wasn't around, and he was just gone from the business forever, do you think we could ever potentially see a AEW WWE, Forbidden Door?
Yes, with Triple H in charge, I believe so. I honestly believe he would.
Maybe. I'll be honest. Maybe. I'm not going to say yes. I'm not going to say no. I feel like Triple H would probably be the easiest one to convince. And I feel like as a wrestler himself would probably want to do more for the wrestler and the fans. Though he still has Campbell. He still has Nick Khan all in his ear. He still has Michael Hayes. He still has Shane Helms. He still has a lot of people that can be in his ear to try to convince him otherwise that this isn't what Vince would want. Vince wouldn't be around, though, as my reply, if I was Papa H. And I would say I think that this would be the best version of wrestling that we all as fans could get. Because imagine the mashups, the Kenny Omega and Roman Reigns, the Usos versus the Young Bucks, the Hardys versus the Street Profits, the Tommaso Ciampa and
one more time.
DIY versus maybe House of Black. We would have amazing women matches. We would have people like Becky Lynch versus Britt Baker. We could even have some women from ROH coming up. Willow against someone like Piper Niven. We could have, Saraya facing against maybe someone of the likes of Bailey all over again and get that little feud going again. There's a lot more what we could do with something of a Forbidden Door for WWE and AEW and having that good mesh up and bringing people like from New Japan over to NXT and really sprucing up like Axiom or Scripps, or even helping out Braun Breaker and Carmelo Hayes, Wes Lee, really sprucing up the division and even make them go over to ROH even and having some really great luchador style wrestling over in ROH. The fact that what's really nice about AEW, and I'll end it with this, is the fact that we have a promotion company that's willing to let their wrestlers not only just perform in AEW specifically, but allow them to go out and branch off into multiple different promotions like AAA, like AML, like PGW. We have things like ROH superstars crossing over to New Japan crossing over to the States and being able to wrestle on these indie platforms and stuff. So the fact that Tony's allowing this, for me, shows that he has more of the mindset of what the future of wrestling could become, without maybe some of the backbone, unfortunately, to a lot of it when it comes down to the business side. There's argument to say with how Tony runs a lot of the stuff, but generally, like the more doors that Tony has opened for wrestlers and the money that he's allowed his wrestlers to obtain, whether it is with AEW or outside AEW, is something I feel like wrestling needs to evolve too. Even though we have things like the WWE, which is the staple for the movie deals, the TV the shows, the Twitch streams, this, that, and the third.
Video games.
Right. It is great and all, but if you realize that that's the only plateau you're going to hit, when you could be making money and a name for yourself at ROH, in New Japan, in PWG, in AAA, in AML, in other indie spots, be able to bring new faces up, like Nick Wayne now as a new face recently. Billy Starks as a new face recently. Look at her match in 0 Hour against Athena before Double or Nothing. It was an amazing match. Honestly, they could have replaced one of the matches they had in Double or Nothing with that match between Athena and Billy Starks, and that show would have been a higher rated than Dave Meltzer wants to give. So honestly, like it's the fact that and the fact that he allows even that to happen. He's giving you an hour of free wrestling on YouTube, mind you, and if you don't know if you want to buy the $50 product, well, here's a taste of what you can see, plus these big name superstars for this big promotion. I'm going to give you an hour sampling of this. WWE's not. WWE's giving you 30 to 40 minutes of bullshit talking and people going around a table giving their opinions, and then maybe like with NXT they'll do a pre-show match. Cool, but sometimes it doesn't even live up to the expectations of the actual show.
I agree.
Miss the pre-show.
To me, the pre-show should be booked more important, because the first thing the audience sees and the last thing the audience sees, to me, is what they remember, right? And that's why the first match on the card would always be the most important. And now, if that could hype up the show for the rest of the night going forward. So I want honestly, this is where I never minded Intercontinental U.S. title matches being on the pre-show. I know some people did, because, yes, they do deserve the actual show. I'll never sit here and say they didn't. From a crowd perspective, if this is the first thing I'm seeing, and like I said, this is going to get me hyped for going into the show, I want my... and they used to do it really great, like back in the day. Like, for example, SummerSlam 2002. It started off with Kurt Angle and Rey Mysterio, glorified world champion wrestlers. And they could have wrestled 10 minutes, a half hour, 2 hours. They could have had that crowd right here the entire time. I want to have my best guys at the start of the show and at the end of the show. And that way, I know... even if the middle of the show, like for example, match right before the main event, and then the second match on the actual show, they always up.
Yes.
But if the first match in the main event's good, no one really gives a fuck.
Yeah, true that. That's
but now Jojo, getting into Collision, and I'm gonna pass it around kind of like this, do it like a counterclockwise, fucking circle. Jojo, I want to start with you on the first match of the show, and then Dylan will go to you for the second.
Sure.
Okay.
All right. So honestly, I'm impressed with Big Bill and Brian Cage as a team. Like, I didn't think it was gonna work at first, but these guys actually work really good in that ring as a team. And like I said, I was kind of surprised, but Big Bill, which was Big Cass at the time, has always been one of my favorites. But yeah, like he's gotten so much better, honestly, like so much better in the ring. And Brian Cage is one of my favorites as well.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
Of course, the top guys, FTR, like they put on a great tag team match tonight. And there was parts I thought Big Bill was gonna get the win. Like I was like, damn, no. Like I like them, but FTR needed the win, which they did get. But the biggest thing to me is that they called out the Young Bucks for the final match, and I'm excited for this, man. Like this to me is an all-in match. Like I'm hyped. Like I'm hyped.
Now, and see, this is where I want to give credit to Big Bill real quick. That motherfucker really impressed me. His facial work in the match, fucking like legit. He does a fucking drop kick, and then he's like sitting there, kind of like his tongue out, kind of like making like these fucking silly ass, goofy little faces. But his face work was so impressive in the match. I'm like, bro, you're a fucking character right now, and you're like. It's crazy in a wrestling match. You don't really typically think the character shit, but he was legit fucking impressing me just with the fucking way he was doing it's the little shit that was catching my attention. And I got to admit, for the first time since maybe 2017, 2018, I was invested in Willem Morrissey, Big Cass, Big Bill, whatever you prefer to call him. And I was like, holy fuck, if you keep doing shit like this, maybe, potentially, down the road, a TNT title is not out of the question.
Right.
I can see that.
And fucking now, this was great too after the match, right? FTR calling out the Young Bucks, and they want one more go. And I will say this, I like the way AEW is doing this rubber match better than like the Cody Brock rubber match. The reason why is because, yes, there's still 3 matches, but the 3 matches, not just the quality of them, because we know that the tag matches will be better as far as a wrestling perspective, but fucking they spread out the matches. It doesn't got to be back to back to back to back. It can be spread out.
That's what I like, bro. I like that idea of spreading it out more, not just giving us every pay-per-view for 3 months of match and not even making it different. They were the same match. Like, why didn't we get a steel cage, a last man standing for those guys would have been so much better instead of just a normal.
How do you feel about that on the takes on the AEW versus WWE comparisons when it comes to booking the rubber match?
Yeah, no, I agree with JoJo. Like the way that they handled the Brock and Cody 3-peat, the shit show that I call it. Like the first match, cool, great, whatever. Singles match, Backlash, I gotcha. Second one at the Puerto Rico show, should have had a stipulation. Steel cage, Hell in a Cell, Falls Count Anywhere.
Whatever happened to 3 stages of hell?
That would have been great, and each pay-per-view would have been a stage of hell. That would have been very exciting. Nope. Then we get Squidward and Mr. Memes again last night at SummerSlam, doing their thing, and
Bro.
I mean, honestly, last night he was SpongeBob Brock Lesnar. He split his pants. So like, I guess that was the highlight of the show, honestly, because the match was good.
Not good to me. It was not good. I was bored.
Yeah, the whole story is boring. The fact that we still haven't, and Deontay and I were talking about it today, like we still haven't gotten an answer, and I think JoJo and I were talking about it last night too. We still haven't gotten an answer of why this happened. Like, there's no.
I have the reason.
Because he's Brock Lesnar.
No,
that's not a story. Like, and I'm Dylan. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
that's not the reason. That's not the reason. I want y'all to think about this. I figured out the reason. All right, it's kind of piecing it all together and for some reason they could have just told you this, but they didn't. So go back to WrestleMania 39, right? Fucking actually take it back to 38. So when at WrestleMania 38, Brock Lesnar's in the main event against Roman Reigns. He loses, right? But what did everybody care about coming out of WrestleMania 38? the debut of Cody Rhodes and the return of Stone Cold.
No,
That show.
that's so fucking lame.
Yeah,
That's such a lame-ass story. That's such a lame-ass story.
WrestleMania
Like, no,
39.
I get what you're saying. Right. Brandon, I think is breaking up a little bit,
Yeah.
but like,
it kind of froze up on me a little bit.
Yeah, you started freezing and it kind of sounded weird.
All right,
but
WrestleMania 39,
you know,
right?
Yeah.
So here it is, WrestleMania 39.
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar's in the first match against Omos. All right, and fucking.
You're still breaking up, man.
He's always been that guy. He's always been the beast. He's always been the main eventer, the champion. And now he can't even get a title shot because of what happened at SummerSlam, getting fucked over. And so when Cody loses, it's like, bro, you had an opportunity that Brock Lesnar in his mind feels like one was his and two, he probably feels like he could have won. And so fucking when we go to the night after WrestleMania, though I'm sure that was just a big fuck you by Vince McMahon, if y'all remember that one. If we're going to give it storyline context and instead of looking at the real life perspective, I could honestly sit here and say Brock Lesnar not being the main event attraction and Cody Rhodes being the new kid on the block, it kind of makes sense.
But he's not the new kid on the block.
I disagree.
He's the hottest thing on the block. That's the only difference. Like, okay, if that's really the reason, let's say, for Brock being bent out of shape and having him F5 Cody Rhodes, weak. Like, that's weak. Like, if someone pitched me that idea, I'd laugh at them. I literally would laugh at them and be like, you are literally going to lose everybody on Monday Night Raw, and I can't wait to watch it. Like, I can't wait to watch this shit live. Because I'll tell you this now. I woke up after watching that. I went to bed. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't even watch the full episode of Raw. I watched Cody call Brock out. I go, okay. Rest of the show was booty cheeks.
Yep.
Fell asleep throughout most of it. Then I woke up when they said, introducing the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. Like, okay, cool. Oh, all right, wow, it's the main event time. All right, cool. Woke up, and then they said Brock Lesnar, and then Brock picked him up, F5'd him, and I said, I'm done for the night. And I went right back to bed. Like, there was nothing that made me go, oh, wow.
All right, now.
I can't believe that this is happening. Like, how?
So,
what?
Dylan.
Why? Like,
one thing I always give JoJo, right? The one thing I always give JoJo is you have to use the same wrestlers, but how would you book it differently?
I wouldn't have booked Brock and Cody.
Oh, well,
I wouldn't have booked Brock and Cody. There's no reason. That's like bringing Bray Wyatt and Cody Rhodes together.
Thank God that didn't happen, bro.
Like, literally, there's no reason for it. If I booked Cody Rhodes, yes, the easy answer is letting him win at WrestleMania 39. But even with the end result being the way that it is, if we're going to do a modern take on the Dusty Rhodes Hard Times promo, from now until the Rumble, he is going to go through one of the biggest losing streaks of his life. He's going to be embarrassed. He's going to lose on singles matches, tag team matches. He's going to lose in pay-per-views that matter. He is going to be a joke of the company that people are going to make fun of him. But then come Survivor Series is when things change. During a War Games, during whatever stipulation match, whatever the case is, maybe someone against the likes of Dominic Mysterio, because the Judgment Day at this point is very, very hot. He beats him. He finally gets a win when it mattered the most. He ended his year off with something that made a difference. Rumble comes, he makes himself known. Now, mind you, I wouldn't let him win the Rumble again. There's no point. We don't need him to win the Rumble back-to-back. Like, please don't. Just for another upset is nauseating. Have him in. I'll be honest. I'm going to take Deontay's response because I really like this thing. Is put him in an Elimination Chamber match against all of the victims that Roman has already defeated, and let him come out on top. After that, he's had his number one spot in a grueling elimination chamber. He continues his winning streak, and fans have now cheered for him and gotten on behind him again, like when he first debuted at WrestleMania 38.
Okay.
Perfect. WrestleMania 40 comes, he finally beats Roman Reigns. Period.
If he doesn't,
There's no continuation. There's no nothing. Let everything else that fell apart with Roman's story happen. It adds to Cody's story. It gives Cody the boost. But you let him win you let him win a big match at Rumble. You let him win at Survivor Series, and you let him win the biggest match of his life, which is Elimination Chamber. But you beat the piss out of him.
So
you put him through the
I
cells.
want to
You
go
put him
to
through
this
the
real
cages,
quick.
everything.
And I want to go to this real quick, and I want to jump Survivor Series for you too. But I like what you said, and it reminds me of 2012 John Cena when he lost to The Rock in Once in a Lifetime, which twice in a lifetime should have never happened. But anyways, that's a whole other ordeal. Fucking
Right.
Cena was supposed to go on the worst losing streak of his life before, having that Rocky moment, coming back and getting her together. I think if you really wanted to do that Hard Times promo, by all means, you're right. Go that route, and I think that you could save Cody's career. And what you actually had me really invested in on that. Like, that's a great idea.
Right.
But
You have to embarrass the man. You have to strip him of his pride on national television. You have to let him lose against people that like Akira Zawa. Like, you got to make him. You have to let him lose against people that you would that you would never expect.
That's
people
awful,
that don't. No, that's the point, though. That's the hard times. If you listen to the Dusty Rhodes promo, hard times is when the textile workers don't have any money to feed their kids.
Yes.
Hard times is when the computers take your job and you have nowhere to go. Hard times is when somebody like Akira Zawa takes your fucking fame and now has a win over the American Nightmare with everything you've accomplished outside of the WWE and embarrassed you on live television. That's hard times. And he mentions it. He goes on a promo and he goes, I can't believe I lost to somebody like Akira Zawa. I can't believe I lost to somebody such and such. And then you turn him around. You turn him around in Survivor Series.
So if we're going to go ahead and recreate this, you got to hear it, JoJo, from the man himself, the legend. And this is what Dylan's telling you is one of the greatest promos in pro wrestling sports entertainment history. All right. It is it's one of the definitive promos in the business, in my opinion. And it's this promo right here.
It is the American Dream. Dusty Rhodes and Dusty, your fans welcome you back, man. First of all, I would like to thank the many, many fans throughout this country that wrote cards and letters to Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, while I was down. Secondly, I want to thank Jim Crockett Promotions for waiting and taking the time because I know how important it was. Starcade 85 it is to the wrestling fans, it is to Jim Crockett Promotions. And Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, with that weight, got what I wanted. Ric Flair, the world's heavyweight champion. I don't have to say a lot more about the way I feel about Ric Flair. No respect, no honor. There is no honor among thieves in the first place. He put hard times on Dusty Rhodes and his family. You don't know what hard times are, Daddy. Hard times are when the textile workers around this country are out of work. They got 4 or 5 kids and can't pay their wages, can't buy their food. Hard times are out of work and they tell them go home. And hard times are when a man has worked on a job 30 years.
Dude, the legend.
30 years. They give him a watch, kick him in the butt, and say, hey, our computer took your place, Daddy. That's hard time. That's hard time.
Yeah. And mind you, Dusty Rhodes had to go through that in real life.
Dude's a legend.
Dusty Rhodes went through this in real life. This is not
real life. Like if you watch
this
his
is not
documentary,
this
it's
is not
wild.
just a character. And the
Yeah.
reason why Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 39 wore all that belt with all the promotions he worked for, when his family was poor as fuck, those promotions helped him and his dad get by. And so Cody wanted to give back to the promotions. When he left the WWE, he worked at a lot of places for free.
Yeah.
All right.
He would
And
do
that
car
wasn't
commercials
because
to
he
keep
needed the
truck.
money.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and that's something to be given about Cody Rhodes. But when you're getting into because it's already halfway done, when you're getting into the other half of this promo, it's like you heard what, Dusty Rhodes is telling you about what hard times does on a man when he can't provide, when there is no way, when everything he loves has been stripped away from him and he has nothing. All right, that's when a man's character is found, and that's when a man knows he can survive hard times, Daddy. There is no test without a testimony. All right, I mean, there's no testimony without a test. I said that backwards. But the point is that Cody Rhodes has to be John Cena 2012 in the sense that where John Cena should have went on the biggest losing streak of his fucking career, this needs to be Cody Rhodes. It's going to be Rocky 3, baby, because when we get to the Royal Rumble in the Elimination Chamber, that's when you're going to hear that brr, damn brr. All right, y'all know. All right, and fucking, I'm telling you, man, we're going to see Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 40 defeat the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Until he wins.
But now
No.
here's the
If I go there, I'm going to WrestleMania 40. And I go there. I told you this last night. If I hear and still, you're going to see me on News 12. All right? You're going to see me on every news station because I'm going to lose my shit.
He's going to run down to that ring. All
Run.
right?
I'm
He's
going
to
to
beat the
fly
shit
like
out.
Superman and beat up not only Roman and Paul Heyman, but I'm also going to take my anger out on Cody as well. Because
No,
now I feel now I just need to go back to AEW.
Then you can go to the back. You can grab Vince McMahon by his tie, beat the shit out of that old fuck.
I would just be like, "Why, dude?" I would want to sit him down and ask him what he's thinking. Like you gotta explain to me the same pitch that you told Cody, and how you brought Cody back to the WWE. You gotta tell me what you said to him because
he was promised to win.
Yes. If Cody said yes to you because of this crazy fucking idea, you gotta pitch it to me, and I gotta tell you the same fucking answer because I don't believe it. I don't.
To answer this question about Survivor Series, here's what I think is going to happen: Bloodline Fatal 4-Way. Jimmy Uso, Jay versus Jay Uso versus Solo versus Roman.
I seen a report saying that actually today.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Or you could get someone like you could do Jay, Sammy, Cody, Brock versus Roman, Jimmy, Solo. Maybe
I think that Jimmy would turn heel just to realign himself with Roman and Solo. I feel like that Jimmy is going to be on this hiatus of like, fuck you, and fuck you.
I hope so.
It just makes the most sense because if he goes back to Roman, what was the whole point of the shit before?
He beat your ass, man. He put you in the freaking
hospital.
He beat your ass, buddy.
But then you're gonna go right back to him. That's such typical WWE.
And but I don't want to get too far off because we started to, and I know I can finish the Hard Times promo because to me it's one of the greatest promos of all time.
Amazing.
But I want to get back to Collision.
Yes.
Because I feel like we'll get too distracted. So Dylan, you're on the second match, Bubba.
Alrighty, so in the second one, we got the new TBS champion, Chris Stratlander, and not Victor, but the opponent, Mercedes Martinez in a TBS title match. And
welcome back
from catering.
Mercedes Martinez unfortunately lost. Chris did retain the belt and everything, but after the match, not only did Mercedes Martinez beat the living piss out of Chris Stratlander, but Dia Monte decided to jump in and also give some lashings. And then, of course, my girl, Long Island's own Willow, came out to stop the beating. But I quickly want to just touch upon the Big Bill Brian Cage thing before we talk about the Chris Stratlander thing, because I'm excited to see what we're doing with the TBS belt. But Brian Cage, I didn't know it was a high flyer, and the fact that he jumped over that fucking rope so gracefully for that spot, I mean,
That scared me.
perfection. Pure perfection. That impressed the shit out of me. And now I'm invested in Brian Cage and Big Bill.
Brian Cage is about as big as Lesnar was in 03, right?
Yeah, roughly, if not a little bigger. Yeah, I mean, he's a big boy.
That's scary, bro.
And he's that agile.
It's great, bro. I love it.
Wild.
I love Brian
Cage.
I've been a Brian Cage fan for 2 years though, man. He's been doing great stuff. He just doesn't get TV time as much.
JoJo.
But I think Collision may be the best spot for him.
I was agree. At Double or Nothing 2021 when he took on Hangman, and man, did they deliver a banger in that match. The first match of the night, Hangman versus Brian Cage. Like, holy shit, that match was great.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what they're going to do with Brian Cage and Big Bill. I think it's a good tag team, just like Adam Cole, Bebe, and MJF. But nonetheless, Chris Stratlander, Mercedes Martinez. I'm excited, honestly, as a fan of the women's division, like all of us are. I'm excited that we're finally getting a story per se for the TBS belt. Finally, it's kind of started last week with this match between, of course, Mercedes and Dia. I believe that's how you pronounce her name. I could be wrong, but the two of them went at it, and I thought it was a really good match as well. But the fact that now they're teamed up against now Chris Stratlander to take her down, and now another good look for Willow after her championship run from New Japan. Excuse me. I think it's a very good idea to have these ladies finally in a tag team match. But my question is, really to the both of you, is do we see TBS championship at All In?
Yes. I truly believe that title deserves to be at All In because honestly, for me, the TBS title is one of the better titles compared to the women's title because the TBS title gets featured more. Like, honestly, the women's championship, I love Toni Storm, but she barely got TV time. And then now I hope Sheeta gets enough TV time. But like I said, the TBS title, I do believe, deserves to be on the big pay-per-view, just like the women's title. But the TBS title deserves it more because the booking's been good, in my honest opinion.
You know, honestly, this is my biggest complaint about AEW and WWE. The only good company that truly books their women correctly, in my opinion, is Impact. And fucking, at a time, the TBS championship, like JoJo was saying, felt more important than the AEW Women's Championship. And with Chris Statlander coming back with a lot of momentum, you could have done something really big there. And I like that we got a storyline going now, but it's like, okay, well, what about next? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what are we going to do going forward?
And that's what I agree with you on, because that could be said with a lot of things. Like with LA Knight's momentum he had last night, like what's next? But I do agree, like they have to book this right, man. Like book a good story going into this, one of the biggest pay-per-view you've ever done. Like it is the biggest pay-per-view.
Right.
Oh, I agree.
80,000 close.
And JoJo, I don't mean to stop you, but I'm surprised you didn't take that fucking dab with me, bro. That shit just hurt.
I didn't even realize you took a dab, bro. I'm still fucking feeling it.
Oh, you didn't see me dying over here just a moment ago?
My eyes are like, I'm stoned, dude. I'm about to take one, though.
Oh, Stone Cold. What? He's about to take that hit. What? Go for it. What?
I do want to say Samoa Joe, CM Punk at All In. I'm all in for this match.
Bro, as a huge OG Ring of Honor fan, there's nothing on earth that makes me happier right now. Fucking, when this was teased by Samoa Joe, I fucking popped.
Yes, sir, man.
Like, JoJo, I have to imagine you fucking screamed too, bro. Like, I had to stand up off my couch.
I literally was watching SummerSlam, and then I forgot. I think it was literally Shayna that was on. I literally muted that TV, and I put on Joe, and I heard everything he said, bro. And I was just like, yes, yes. Like, he doesn't have a match. He wants to go to Wembley Stadium. He wants to kick CM Punk's ass. The roll-up can't stand. That was the last match they had, which ended with the roll-up. So he doesn't want the legacy to end like that. So this match is going to be the best match. Like, I truly believe these guys are going to give us everything. And let's go Punk.
So I want to hear this from the both of y'all. Do y'all, and I'll start with you, Joe. Do you think this match needs a stipulation?
Yeah, I would. I don't know, man. I don't.
Like you just said, it's the last one.
Honestly, yeah. Actually, yeah. Now that I think about it, maybe do what would be a good match that would maybe a dog collar match.
Yes.
Oh, fuck yes.
Dude, these two. Oh, I was literally at I was at Revolution 2022 when MJF and CM Punk had the dog collar match. Holy shit, that was great.
Fire.
And then,
Fucking
of course,
brutal.
the Briscoes FTR dog collar match, that was legendary as well.
Incredible.
Okay, but yes, fire.
Even Rhodes versus Mr. Brody Lee, I really enjoyed that match.
That's one of my favorite matches, bro. Cody and AEW.
Same. And I also like the one, what was it, a steel cage match against Wardlow in the early AEW?
Yes, that was when Cody flipped off the cage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But honestly, man, I think the women's division in
You two gonna make it? Are you two gonna make it to this fucking episode? You're both fucking coughing up a goddamn lung over here. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. He's eating his whole fucking refrigerator. You're over here coughing up your lungs. Like, Jesus Christ.
What?
Do you want me to run your show for the day? Like, oh my God.
What?
No, but man, I'm gonna tell you straight up, the women's division in Collision is better than the Dynamite women's division. I'm just saying that.
Dynamite has more talent. In their women's division, like look at the names, right? Your Britt Bakers, your Sarayas, your Toni Storms, and I'm not saying that Collision doesn't have its big names on it, but I just feel like the Dynamite women's division has more talent overall.
All right, I'm gonna say this.
That was legendary, though.
AEW has more wrestling women superstars compared to WWE.
Yes.
WWE has a select few superstars that, and some are not showcased, but the ones that are showcased are a select few that do not always perform at their highest. If I could say that. AEW has I
agree with you.
Extremely short list of women wrestlers, yet only showcases 5.
Yes.
Yeah. Just like WWE.
Right. But with Collision, it seems that they're trying to showcase their women not only on Dynamite, but also on Collision. And with that, it makes AEW a little bit ahead of the game with their women's division. Now, if you go story-wise, WWE wins, their stories are better.
But wrestling
AEW
wise,
doesn't really do that. But wrestling, if you
AEW.
solely based it on wrestling, 100%, I will die behind this statement. AEW's wrestling is more seen than WWE. For
I
sure.
want to shout out Impact though because they do great stories and
And
wrestling.
wrestling. Yeah.
So that's another.
It's the only company that does both perfectly.
You can't complain about Impact. It's crazy. Like I never hear like.
No.
It's
Hey,
like I will never
JoJo got me
complain about it.
watching. JoJo just got me watching Impact again, Dylan, for the first time since 2016 when the Hardys left.
I'm kind of curious about doing it again myself because I only watched it. I watched a little bit of it when it was like AJ Styles and Christian Cage was there. Hardy was there. Sting was there. Of course, Perk Angle. Who doesn't remember Perk Angle? Samoa Joe.
You know, he could perk up a crowd.
What's up?
He could perk up a crowd, man.
Oh, he perked up a whole lot more than crowds, I tell you that.
Yeah.
Like Abyss was there, and you had very cool superstars. But now, like the last time I watched the Impact show, you have this guy named PCO who is a fucking madman. I saw a clip of him getting his lips stapled, and then he took pliers and pulled out the staples one by one. And I was like, yeah. So they were in, I don't know what kind of pay-per-view. It was recent. It was like a month or two ago. They were doing a pay-per-view, and the guy grabbed a staple gun underneath the ring and grabbed PCO and stapled his lips shut. Then after PCO got him away and had time to breathe, he went underneath the ring in a toolbox, grabbed pliers, and went into his mouth and pulled out the staples that were in his mouth.
Oh.
And I go, what
Duh.
psychopath is this guy? Like, he must be related to Mick Foley. You know what I mean? Like, only wild shit. Only wild shit would happen. Listen, I mean, like, I've seen the guy wrestle a few times.
But JoJo got me watching the last 2 weeks, and I watched a little bit when I was at his house back in April. And I'll tell you, man, I've really been enjoying the product. You know, in some ways, it kind of reminds me of NXT with that low little crowd, but that crowd is passionate and fucking like for example, I think it was not this past week; it was week before. No, it's this past week. Deonna and Trinity start off the show with this amazing fucking promo, and fucking that whole crowd is chanting at Deonna, "You tapped out! You tapped out! You tapped out!" Because fucking Deonna's talking shit about Trinity quitting WWE, and it ends up becoming a tag match. And fucking the women end up getting like 20 fucking minutes just to sit for this one tag match. And I was like, oh fuck. I'm like, Impact is only but Impact's only like an hour or two long. Monday Night Raw is 3 hours. I never see a 20-minute women's wrestling match.
It's 2 hours of literally great stuff. There might be one thing here or there that I might not like, but other than that, like I seriously recommend reviewing Impact, man, because it's gotten so much better, in my opinion, at least.
I'd have to agree with that, Dylan. If you haven't checked it out, it is worth your time.
I will try to put it in the in the schedule for sure.
And, I kind of wonder this too. Getting back into fucking AEW, what the fuck is going on with the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass?
That's what I was just thinking in my head, bro. Like, literally, I think it's all a game and something's going to happen. I don't think he's retired or he's gone because I don't know. That interview was interesting. It's just, I don't know, man. I think it's leading to something. I don't think he's retired.
So, to quickly finish the Chris Stratlander thing and then go into that, I would say that I too think the TBS belt deserves to be on All In as well, JoJo. I feel like I totally agree with what you were saying with how the TBS belt has had definitely more screen time than the AEW championship belt. hand over fist for that as well. So hopefully we get a nice. I'm cool with a fatal 4-way.
That's what I see.
Cool with the triple threat. In All In, even if it's the 0 hour, I think it's a very good title match for 0 hour at something of a Wembley Stadium, being very different. Normally the 0 hour shows are just regular matches and singles and stuff like that, and there's not much to them. But otherwise, I'd say that we should consider maybe putting that as a pre-show match, because I feel like the hype around the belt and what we give the belt right now is definitely something people should be checking out for sure. Though going to the daddy ass thing, here's my feel on it. That wasn't Billy Gunn retiring. I hope we all realize that, because if we are calling, if we are literally going to say with a straight face and pure honesty that was Billy Gunn retiring after everything he has given this business, not just AEW, but wrestling in general, inside the ring and outside the ring, with training men and women, perfecting the NXT girls, perfecting the NXT guys, coaching a lot of the young talent that came over there while he was still working with a lot of the WWE stuff prior to him joining AEW. No way I'm letting that slide. No way I'm letting that slide. So there's no way in hell for me to sit here comfortably and say, "Oh yeah, that was a good retirement. Thanks, Billy Gunn. Appreciate it." Fuck him. That's what that means. Honestly, that's what that means. Like,
my name's Billy.
Yeah, thank you for everything you've done. You don't mean shit to us. Have a good night. Goodbye.
What if he turns heel?
Well, let me ask you this, Dylan.
I don't think he turns heel.
I agree with you with all of Billy's contributions to professional various
him
promotions.
by himself as Mr. Assman, the Outlaws, DX. I mean, should I continue? WCW Billy Gunn.
Better call somebody.
Hold on, wait. No, bro, if you're gonna do it, you got to do it right. All right. All right.
That used to be my
like,
intro for my podcast.
Didn't know? Yo ass better call somebody.
I used to do the when I started doing the podcast in the beginning, before I switched over to the kind of the intro that I do now for everything, is I'd say, "Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, podcasters of all nations," like that would be my thing, because I would want to, I'm a huge Outlaw fan, like for sure, like Road Dogg and everybody. But that used to be my intro before switching over to what I've kind of created now. But nonetheless, going back to Billy Gunn.
But yeah, I wanted to ask you. So you said that this retirement did not fit Billy Gunn for all his contributions in professional wrestling.
Not at all.
I agree with you, both in and out of the ring, plus what he did to get his life back on track, as we all know, plus bringing his boys into the industry, which since joining the Bullet Club have actually won me over.
They won me over when they won the belt.
What is the proper way to retire Billy Gunn in All Elite Wrestling?
Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame?
Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he deserves that.
There's a list of what Billy Gunn has done. A list. What he's probably done for AEW that we don't know.
Oh, yeah. I know he helps behind the scenes. There's no fucking doubt about that.
So, if we don't have Billy Gunn Day in AEW as his retirement, what? Bring him back to WWE. You know what I mean? Like, then WWE needs to handle that.
Yeah.
Like I mean, he should be retired in both. Frankly, I don't care what Vince says. I don't care how him and his little Addams Family mustache feels about it. But I truthfully,
what the fuck do you mean you don't feel about it, pal? I'll tell you this: the only person who chooses who goes into the Hall of Fame is me. Damn it.
He deserves to be in both. Like Abdullah the Butcher, like Sting, like Hogan, like Christian Cage, like like Punk.
Oh, when will also? Here's another thing I want to ask you guys, because I know you guys are passionate fans, and I feel like us as fans, and you in the comments, fucking, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the NFL Hall of Fame, you can actually go in and walk in these places and see these legendary things, and I'm kind of wondering, will the WWE ever do something? Because right now the Hall of Fame basically exists in Vince McMahon's mind.
The WWE Hall of Fame exists in Vince McMahon's home. That's why the FBI raided it. They wanted to see what it was. And they got it. They got everything. They got Ric Flair's wardrobe. They got Hulk Hogan's Hulkabasta. They got Macho Man Slim Jims. They got it all. They got it all. Okay? That's what they got from that FBI raid. Fuck the documents and all the other shit that they quote unquote got. They got all the good shit that all the fans wanted to see. All right. No, the Hall of Fame will never exist in that type of aspect. As much as we would love it to be, like the Baseball Hall of Fame, you go to Yankee Stadium, you can go through the whole hall and see every poster, every picture, the old mitts, the jerseys of Lou Gehrig and Ruth and Kurt, not Kurt Schilling.
It's fucking beautiful.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous scene. I've been through it at least twice, and it's an amazing scene. It brings back so many Mariano Rivera, fucking Derek Jeter. List goes Bernie Williams. List goes on, but
that's where. I kind of wish we had something like that for pro wrestling, you know what I mean? Because me as a fan, I would dig it going to that event, you know what I mean? Or that building. And just checking out all the different memorabilia, maybe seeing the Hall of Fame plaques, or they got those big ass golden statues. Maybe having one for every passed away Hall of Famer, that would be kind of nice. It's things like that I think the WWE should leave behind, because we got to remember this, and this is a proven statistic, most pro athletes that die before the age of 40 are professional wrestlers. All right. And so to me, with the toll on the body and everything you do before making a name for yourself and then after, I honestly feel like we should be able to celebrate your life and career properly.
Yes, I believe I agree with you, brother.
Tony Khan, I know you're listening because your AEW commented on one of y'all's videos, so I know you're listening, AEW. Give your boy over here a call. Let me go work for y'all, and let's try to get the Hall of Fame established for AEW. Let's get it going early before anything else, because I feel like if Tony, with his visionary plan of being the first promoter that's willing to work with other independent shows and stuff that he's been doing, this is another accolade that he can live with forever. That would be it would be such a monumental thing, because we could have things from New Japan, things from Ring of Honor. We can have people from other indie shows that he's worked with or going to be working with, have that history in a museum, in a showcase at stadiums, like even a miniature versions of them when fans come to the arena, for people that come early, like, have something of that nature be accessible like that. I think is a really cool thing. So for me, like, it would be such a genius idea to do something like that. Video packages for the fans that are waiting in their seats, like
nobody does it.
Hall of Fame shit.
Nobody does a video package better than the WWE. I will give them.
Yes, that's true. That is true. But AEW could work on it.
And honestly, that's one thing. All right, so loved the AEW in the years since the original days have incorporated more actual music rather than just a beat for the theme songs. But my biggest problem, and I don't know if this means shit to y'all, I know WWE kind of went away from Titantron videos a few years ago, but I always used to think they were part of telling the story.
Yes.
And I kind of wish we had those back. And for me, it's one thing I wish Tony Khan would work on in AEW is proper Titantron videos.
And the tunnels, bro. Bring back the tunnels.
It was great. It was great the other night when they had it. I want it to be a permanent stay on Dynamite.
Me too, bro. I really hope we go into Dynamite and they have them still. That it wasn't just a one time. Because man, I don't like the rest of this shit. The tunnels are the best. It's unique. It's different. And yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
But
And you know, another thing. Oh, this is what I wanted to ask you before I got into the Hall of Fame stuff. I thought this was fucking great. It was the House of Black versus Lee Johnson, Action Andretti, and Darius Martin. And this match fucking kicked ass, bro. And of all people I was impressed by, Action Andretti, bro, jobber. He actually really impressed. Oh, and another thing about Tony Khan working with us and watching our product, forgive me for all the booger sugar jokes. It's just a joke. I love you. I hope you can take a joke. And now, anyways, back to your regularly scheduled programming. You know, I really enjoyed this fucking match, and Andretti man is really impressing me, especially when he was in facing against Buddy Matthews. They were beating the shit out of each other back and forth. I want this kid to be the fucking TNT champion, bro. He's really fucking good.
Malachi and Buddy did like a kick together when one of them jumped and like literally knocked the shit out of them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know which one.
It's called the three-headed snake or three-headed sniper or some shit.
It was some kick. Like they literally
all three of them, yeah.
Like boom, right to his freaking jaw. I was like, damn, that dude's. I think it was Action Andretti. Like I think.
Three-headed dragon sounds cool as shit. I'd go with that for the name. And honestly, bro, I wanted Action Andretti, Lee Johnson, and Darius Martin to win this match. I love the house.
I disagree.
But I don't know, man. I must say this. Darius Martin has it, but not to the degree that his brother does. I feel like Dante, when he comes back from injury, will still be the star out of the two.
Yeah.
But Action Andretti, man, if you get him in a singles career, get him away from the six-man tag shit, I honestly do believe he could be a TNT champion. This match is really impressive.
Action Andretti, when he came in, was a single star.
Yeah.
He beat Chris Jericho.
He beat Chris Jericho.
On his debut match, they were chanting thank you.
And then they did a couple of things with him for a few weeks. He got dry, but it wasn't because of him. It was because of what matches they were putting him in. I'm sorry, Tony. Like, let's be honest here. You know, like, it's the truth. And then you kind of pushed him away for a little bit, which understandable is what it is. You do have a lot of talent. You have an extensive roster, my guy. You know, like, it is right long. But at the same time, you did give him an opportunity to shine over in Collision, and pairing him with someone like Lee Johnson and Darius Martin from Top Flight was a very smart idea. These three guys are high flyers. Adding, I forgot his brother's name. Is it DeMarcus?
Dante Martin.
Dante. When his brother gets back from his ankle being twisted around, you know, hopefully we see a trios or two tag teams form out of this, and they are paired with people like the Lucha Brothers, El Miro Pinto, Serpico. You know, let's get people like Gravity in there, Vikingo in there. Let's get high-flying tag teams in the mix for possible tag team championships, possible trios tag championships. Like, I like the fact that they stick heavily with their either middleweight or heavyweight division stars in the sense of building their rosters and tag team winners around them. But
and this is, you know, a takeaway that
made me get a nice change.
And this was a takeaway that made me happy too. It was nice to see Lee Johnson back on AEW television on a fairly high-rated spot.
Mm-hmm.
He got a good showing though, bro. Like honestly, there was parts I thought he would win, but I am glad the house won.
Always
before
wins. Yes,
Bro,
sir.
Malachi Andrade, give us what we want at All In.
All you need is Zelina Vega on a pole match. Fuck.
No, but man, Andrade called out Malachi. That's why I'm saying this. Like, this match needs to happen. In the biggest
You know what I would like to see from All In is I would like to see, and I know I'm gonna just be a fanboy, but I want the third match between Ospreay and Omega.
Yes.
That needs to be the main event.
If we're not getting Punk versus Omega,
I love MJF. I love Adam Cole. AEW's great. The match that they need to make a surefire thing is Omega and Ospreay 3, the New Japan United States heavyweight belt. It needs to be. It's Ospreay's backyard. Like you would be making a big mistake without having that happen.
I agree.
I seen a report
think of Metalik versus Jay White.
Before I get to that, I want to say that there was a rumor saying that Ospreay is facing Chris Jericho, and I want to know how you guys feel about that.
No, the only person Jericho should be facing at All In is Sting.
Yes, I agree.
I can see that.
I agree.
Does Jericho turn face though? Because he's in a.
Jericho needs to turn full heel.
I'll be honest with you. Go ahead, finish your thing, but I'll be honest after that.
Here's what I would do. I would put him with the Don Callis family, and you have them beat the shit out of fucking Darby Allin, like complete, just like right. I know this is gonna sound fucked up, but it has a purpose. Write him off TV. All right. And fucking then Sting for like a few weeks as he was gonna get up, and we're gonna see Sting fucking do something he hasn't done in a long time, and that's come from the rafters with the bat, and he's gonna go ahead and take out the whole Don Callis family, and that's where he's gonna challenge Chris Jericho to.
It's Sting.
Yes, sir. Woo. And he's gonna challenge Chris Jericho to the match at All In, and I would go ahead and you don't got to make it too long of a match, but I think 15 minutes is fine. Sting's 60, more than enough. Jericho's 50.
Yeah.
And but I want to give this a proper match because this is going to be Sting's last one-on-one singles match. And I think a high-profile match with Chris Jericho is the perfect way to go out. And then when Darby Allin comes back, now he may not have Sting around, but he's coming back for vengeance, right? And so when he comes back, he's going to want to defend Sting's honor. So his first feud would be against Chris Jericho. You put Darby Allin over, all right? And then you start climbing him up the ladder as a top babyface. He eventually gets to Christian Cage and the Luchasaurus, winning back the TNT title.
Bro, speaking of Luchasaurus and Christian, did you see what Christian said about his daughter?
Yeah, he kicked her off the fucking the show.
Living legend, man. Christian is the greatest.
Greatest father you ever. Christian Cage goes down as the greatest father of the year award.
Dude, you call Rey Mysterio JoJo. You call Rey Mysterio a deadbeat. You called Cody Rhodes a deadbeat. But you're gonna go over here and cheer Christian Cage.
That's a deadbeat right there.
She asked to take the title. Did she win that title? No, she did not.
Yes, she did. Yes, she did. If her father didn't win that title, then she won that damn title, all right? Exactly. I won that damn title, and I wasn't even in the fucking match, all right?
Bro, how does Luchasaurus feel about all this? He's the
silent.
One that won the title.
He's the bitch.
There.
He's silent.
He's
thinking about all the other, like, herbivores and carnivores out there in the wild and all the plants that he's going to eat and shit like that. Like, he ain't doing nothing. You know what I mean? He ain't doing diddly dick.
I bet he's wondering, should he unblock Jungle Boy off Snapchat?
Probably.
You know,
bro, that's the kid that Jungle Boy jumped in the crowd with on Wednesday. That's Christian's daughter. Something's
that's crazy.
happen, baby.
And fucking, But getting into Jay at Elite, bro, this actually was fairly decent. I thought this really kicked ass. And fucking Jay White, bro, I don't know why the fuck this guy's not being pushed more than what he is right now. Being honest with you, this is a guy to me that in a lot of ways has it. You know, whatever you define it as, I think he should be in more premier spots on AEW television than what he is currently at the moment.
There's another rumor saying that Jay White is taking on CM Punk, but now it's Samoa Joe, but then it's Ricky. So like I don't know what direction they're going, man, because Ricky beat up Ricky the Steamboat after, and then Punk got involved, but then Joe called out Punk, but then I don't know,
so
maybe
here's what you do. Samoa Joe cost CM Punk the match against Ricky Starks at all. Now, here's how I do it at All In. Okay, it's not for the Real World Championship. I don't know how. Just bear with me. Just bear with me. All right, he fucks over CM Punk. CM Punk doesn't get the victory. You can do it in disqualification. You can do it in count out because he beat his ass backstage. You can do it any fucking way you want. CM Punk loses. Ricky Starks gets the victory. All right. Fucking this is basically to promote CM Punk versus Samoa Joe at All Out.
Mhm.
All right, and then in this All Out match, I honestly would go ahead and do the closest thing you can do to an Extreme Rules match, or probably Lights Out or something like that, right?
yeah.
And you just let them throw down a fucking clinic. And honestly, if this is not Samoa Joe's last match in wrestling, because I think, you know, going back to where it all began is a great way to end your career, in my opinion. Fucking at least let this be something that's going to showcase him more going forward, because Samoa Joe does not have many years left on his career. I can promise you this right now.
I agree.
He's got more years behind him than he does in front of him. And I think we need to take advantage of the time we have. And fucking honestly, the way you probably do it, he would lose this match against CM Punk, and then we'd put him back into the Ring of Honor stuff. And you go ahead and you have him drop the fucking television title, and maybe one more time, Ring of Honor World Champion Samoa Joe.
But like the thing
No.
is though, which direction do we go though with this? Like, because you got 4 guys. Like, do you give it a fatal 4-way? Do you do Ricky and Punk again? Because it ended in a way that I feel they're gonna.
Well, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat's not wrestling.
No.
I think that's fair to say.
No, I mean Ricky.
So Ricky Starks, like I said, needs to have another match against Punk. It's weird how you got to do this, because Punk is not dropping, quote unquote, the Real World Championship. We all know this. But I don't want Ricky to necessarily take the L. He just fucking turned heel. And so I want it to matter. So maybe, you know, fucking like you have Samoa Joe fucking cost the match. Maybe fucking you have them beat the shit out of him. I don't fucking know. But there's got to be something to where Ricky Starks can still look good coming out of this. Because like I said, the motherfucker just turned heel.
Right.
Yeah, you need to push him like in a better way and not just have him lose. Because he did just lose last night, and you need to book him better.
I would get the Samoa Joe and CM Punk match out of the way. Do it at either All In, All Out. I prefer it at All Out. It makes more sense. This is the All Out Brawl. This is the All Out match. This is the final one. All In my eyes, it should be a pay-per-view with where it is, where it stands in the wrestling culture and promotions out of all the other ones. I feel like this is a top-tier pay-per-view, which I feel we can all agree upon. And with the matches that we prefer to see on All In, I don't think Samoa Joe and Punk really fit that card profile per se. They're more or less a all-out revolution, double or nothing. I'm totally okay with any Grand Slam out here in my backyard. Cool. But where Ricky Starks falls into play with all of this can definitely be the diffuser of the match where he interrupts or costs Punk that win against Samoa Joe. then adding Ricky Starks' heel that he already is building upon. You know, we saw it last night, like you said, JoJo, where he beat up Steamboat. What is his next move? Where is he going to go from all of this? Where do we see Ricky Starks' matches after this? So,
because you've seen his babyface run, right? It started off great, and then it went to shit really fast, and next thing you know, he's not being booked. So I'm afraid if he loses clean to CM Punk, and then CM Punk goes to Samoa Joe, that's it.
Like,
right, but that's how you bury him quickly,
right?
If you want him to thrive in Collision and have some sort of a title expectancy after this long reign of match after match after match after match, and whether they're grueling, whether they're great, whether they're whatever, then you want to have him have these opportunities where he costs someone like the champion the opportunity to finish off against Samoa Joe and everything in a pay-per-view setting. You want to have a heel, at least in my eyes, come out and try to cause a lot better of a image for themselves to prove that they are right where they're supposed to be, and the top is where they're coming to. So if CM Punk is the top right now in Collision, and that's who we're going to see, of course, him face for the time being until we have other superstars besides Ricky going after CM Punk, then okay, cool. Then let's get Ricky in that gear. Let's get Ricky going in that direction. Having him cost Punk a match, whether it is a singles match, whether it is against Samoa Joe at All In or All Out, whatever it is, you need to have him really, really focus in on his gimmick, his character. He was an absolute babyface. Now he's an absolute heel. And if we don't ever see that happen with these characters, and they don't really portray their characters correctly, and then they get squashed, they get put away, they get shelved, they get these quick one and dones like we saw in the beginning.
Wrong,
right? And that's where these superstars who are it's hard. Like we see with LA Knight. The man was shit ass in Max Dupree. He becomes LA Knight, a fucking superstar. But what happened?
Like
we give him matches. We give him matches, and
like, could you even imagine?
We don't give him the matches that we know we could give him. And then we give him the match last night at SummerSlam. Now what happens? Where does this character go? We have Payback. We have Fastlane. We have Survivor Series. We have Crown Jewel. Where does it go? Where does it go for Ricky Starks?
I have a conspiracy theory with this one. So, all right. So for the last 2, maybe 3, 4 weeks, LA Knight's been the number 1 seller, the number 3, and the number 4 on WWE Shop. Arguably, when this business is about making money, I get a lot of guys love it. We love it because of passion and shit, right? But at the end of the day, it's a business, and there's money to be made. Right. If I'm the guy who's booking matches and choosing who goes over and who doesn't go over, I'm going based off who draws the most money. It just makes the most sense to me, right? So, from that perspective, why the fuck would you, and why would you not want LA Knight to win Money in the Bank? Why would you not have him at WrestleMania when the crowd was clearly into him at the time as well? And
they're in LA, bro. LA.
Oh, yeah, I know.
But if you give them simple wins like that, like what Brandon's saying is right, and I'm sorry to cut you off, Brandon, but what I feel what you're saying is maybe what I'm about to say is if you're looking at it in a business aspect, kind of like how Triple H gave us in that post conference from Money in the Bank, we gotta wait to see, everybody doesn't want to push right away. We gotta wait for the push and this, that, and the third. And it's like, okay, great, jerk me off, why don't you? Seriously, what are you gonna do here with me? But you see that he's achieved more already as a superstar without a title. We now give him that number 1 spot in merch selling. He's beaten Roman Reigns. We have given him more plays in that exclusive content at MSG. Video alone. Exactly. It's hit over 2 million or 3 million now in viewership in less than 12 hours. You know what I mean? Like, he hits these plateaus that are not that they're easily reachable, but for somebody who hasn't had a quote unquote push in the right direction, make it sound a lot harder than it actually is to do. But then we give him this opportunity. He wins the battle royale. Great, cool.
What's next?
There's two ways to go with this now. And it's kind of goes for Ricky Starks. You give him the belt. Let's say that's Friday on SmackDown, Santos and Austin Theory go at it, and it's Santos that comes out on top. He becomes a transitional champion. Okay. Now we give it to, LA Knight, maybe a Payback. Okay, cool. Or they could do a triple threat match, what have you. Payback is where all three men go at each other. That's when he wins the champion. LA Knight wins the championship, et cetera, et cetera. And then now Payback is his starting point. Okay? Let's say that. Let's say Payback is LA Knight's starting point, because that is the next pay-per-view we have in the next few weeks after, of course, No Mercy and all these other stuff. But, for what it could be, we have two options. You give him the belt and make the U.S. Championship relevant, and his gimmick and his stick and all of the stuff that brings LA Knight becomes very exciting and then very stale.
Ooh, fair.
Or you don't give him the belt and he's still the people's favorite.
But now, and I worry about this. I mean, I get, Ziggler was never up there as far as like #1 merch seller and shit like that. But, that was kind of at a time what he was, the people's favorite. People were dying for him to be champion. And what did they quickly do? They wanted it to fizzle out. Zack Ryder, people's favorite. They quickly wanted it to fizzle out.
Daniel Bryan, the
only reason Daniel didn't fizzle out is because CM Punk quit. All right, CM Punk was supposed to face Triple H at WrestleMania. All right, well, no,
because of the fans too.
I'm sorry, no,
yeah,
I'm sorry, no. All right, because if CM Punk had not quit, Daniel Bryan would have never faced Triple H, and then therefore he never goes on to the match on Evolution. The whole fucking premise of Daniel Bryan's WrestleMania match was taking out the Authority and taking out Triple H. That was basically the goal, as well as being the champion. And so if CM Punk was in that spot, Daniel Bryan would not have. All right, now, with CM Punk being gone, yeah, the crowd might play a part of it. But that's only really because they're fucked and they have no other options this close to WrestleMania. All right?
But... Bro, I gotta
that's true. I know that's true. And so I know the truth hurts, but it's a fact.
I know the truth hurts, but it's a fact.
But here it is. They were too close.
Oh, man. Gentlemen, hold on. Listen, wait a second. Wait a second.
Wait, let me get the rest of this out. They were too close to WrestleMania to change it, right? So they had to go with Bryan. There was really no other option at that point. All right, so if it was not a necessity, all right, they would not have done it. Now, with LA Knight, the same way that these people got over on their own and they quickly fizzled out, I almost promise you, same will be with LA Knight. I feel like that's what they want.
Let me just say something quick, and then I want to hear JoJo's rebuttal because I know he's been dying. I know he's dying to say something. I see it all over his face. But I just want to say this. With Ziggler, we made him a champion of some sort.
And then he got
as champion. He became stale, but not as champion. Not as champion. He was more over. Now, some may say, like you're saying now, Joe, that no, he was champion. He was good. He was great. To an extent, he was. I'm not talking about his in-ring ability. I'm talking about his character as champion.
There's not really a character. I'll be honest about that. He's just
and that's what made him stale as a champion. The difference between Knight and Ziggler as a champion per se is Ziggler may have all the in-ring ability any superstar can hope for, but no character behind it.
Yes.
LA Knight has all character, and
he's a decent wrestler. I'll be honest.
A decent wrestler at most. But now, as a champion, what's going to matter more for us fans? Is it going to be the character, or is it going to be the wrestling? Because if he wrestles the same as a United States champion, and there is no development in his wrestling ability, not his character, his wrestling ability as U.S. champion, the character becomes stale.
And bro,
but if he doesn't become champion, But if he doesn't become champion, he will always be the people's favorite,
and
no matter what.
This is what I was trying to.
That's the hard part.
This is what I've been trying to tell JoJo for years, man. And I love you, and I know
I love you too, JoJo. Don't worry. I feel your pain, buddy. I understand.
I love your. And I know he loves the in-ring wrestlers more. He has always been a more traditional in the ring kind of fan. I've always been more into characters and storylines because here's the deal: we live in an age in professional wrestling when 360-pound Keith Lee can move about the same as Ricochet. All right, it's fucking phenomenal. But when you have all these guys in various promotions doing the same fucking shit, you're not going to stand out. If Ricochet had been around 20 years ago,
he would have been a star.
He could have.
The reason he will never be seen as such is because of the era in wrestling he's in today. All right, now, it doesn't matter about the wrestling ability in today's professional wrestling. That is not what's going to make you a champion. It is your character and the way that you connect with an audience. If you have it, if you can get the people at home to feel something and levitate off their fucking feet, you are going to be a champion. And the company will invest money in you. And now, if you're just a guy that can go on and put on a 5-star match and look good anytime they need you because some guy got injured, sorry to Ziggler, you're not going to be the champion. But where you fit in as Ziggler is, okay, Ziggler could open the show, Ziggler could close the show, Ziggler could be the middle of the show. If fucking
That's a stretch what Jordan just said. That's a stretch. But all right.
Oh, LA Knight reminds me of Razor Ramon. Okay.
I don't know about that.
That's a stretch.
Razor could wrestle. He was a character, but Razor's character, I'm going to be real. There was more to it. There was more depth to his character. And that's what makes him stand apart from LA Knight. And I guarantee you, with that same thing I just said about Razor Ramon. You know what bothers me about Razor, bro? Here it is. Razor Ramon, Scott Hall, either version has never, in his whole wrestling career, been world champion.
That's crazy.
And he was also a really good seller. And he was also a really good seller, Razor Ramon. But going back to what you're saying, Brandon, and then I know JoJo wants to speak, so we do have to let him talk. Is the fact that, you know, if you split the human in half. 50% is the character, or 70. You could say 70% is the character, 30% is the wrestler. You could say 50% is the wrestler, 40% is this, that, whatever. However you want to split it, you split it. But if you look at it as this, if you're going to go based off of character as a champion, and your wrestling isn't to par to the rest of the competition, you will finish ahead. Then him as a champion will be stale, which will eventually hurt his character that we love him for.
Okay,
but because Dolph Ziggler was a gifted athlete, but his character was stiff, him as a champion made it hard to believe him as a champion. With LA Knight, his character is so believable and so awesome to be a part of.
Yeah.
That as a champion, if his ability doesn't get better,
See, and I agree with you,
Won't
Derek.
do
All I'm
nothing.
saying is WWE has a history of fucking over the guys who get over naturally.
Mind
Yeah,
you,
guys, I like
WWE is a superstar-based product. AEW is a wrestling-based product.
wrestling.
Wrestling. Real wrestling. All right? Some real
It's
wrestling.
like Dax Harwood.
Yeah, some real wrestling.
Dude,
all
when
right?
MJF said that and made fun of that, oh my god, I literally laughed my ass off.
If
after
LA
getting-
Knight was in the training room with the AEW superstars, I guarantee you, as a champion, with the gimmick and all, and the wrestling ability being updated each and every week, he would be one of the best champions AEW will ever produce. But unfortunately, he is with WWE.
Yeah.
And though it works for him in his credit, because his character is undeniable, him as a champion is a risk factor that many people do not want to talk about. Now, a lot of people are not going to agree with me, and that's fine. I have no problem with that. No problem. I would love to see him as champion. Don't get me wrong. I would love to see him as United States champion. Bring that belt to relevancy again. Maybe after Gunther does give the championship up to whoever, maybe it's Gable, maybe it's this guy, maybe it's that guy, whoever it may be, and maybe the next championship is for LA Knight as Intercontinental Champion. Maybe that he brings it up to relevancy just as high as Gunther. But if his character is the only thing that's saving him, and he is still doing the same wrestling at the same standard, it hurts his character. Then that's where those two options come for Ricky. Because Ricky starts as a very good character. He's a very talented wrestler. Though there is still an uneven balance for the both of his mindsets. Him as a champion could work out well for him in the beginning. And he could be very good. He could be very good.
But that's why
champion. But I wouldn't see him as a heavyweight champion yet. Give him the international belt. Give him the tag team belt. Give him the whatever. Let him see how the belt becomes with him. I know. Let's see how he can run with a belt of substance before we just throw on a belt that matters the most. Because if we throw on that real heavyweight belt that Punk holds, and he does Ugats with it,
yeah.
Now who takes it off of him? How do we get there? What's the next moment for him? What do we do now with Ricky Starks? Do we put him back to Dynamite? Do we really fuck with him and throw him on Rampage for 5 minutes? And then everything that he has worked for is now absolute dog shit. So now he is Ricky absolute dog shit instead of Ricky the absolute heel. Instead of Ricky the absolute star. You get what I'm saying? I don't know if that made any sense to you.
Oh,
but
no,
that's how I look at this product. Because as much as of a fan as I am for both the wrestling mindset and everything, the dad jokes are here. For the wrestling mindset and the ability that these wrestlers can perform at on a day-to-day basis, you have to look at it at both sides. Because if you're just looking at it as a Jim Cornette, which is pure wrestling, it's wrestling. This is wrestling, and you don't look at it as the Michael Hayes or the Triple H's and the Cody Rhodes of the business mind, then you have a problem. Then things don't work out the way we want them to work out. We're never going to get another Rock and Stone Cold again, but we might get images of it for sure. I miss my daddy more than JoJo missed CM Punk in 2015.
No, that's not true, man. I miss CM Punk, man. He left on my birthday.
You're saying this person don't miss their daddy?
Yeah, I mean, that's 2015. It's been a long time. It's been a long time since his daddy's gone.
Right.
Bro, CM Punk left on my birthday. You know how pissed off I was that?
But this is his dad.
Hey, listen, he blew you a kiss. And he said bye. I don't know what to tell you. Hey, man, he got fired on his wedding day. Can you imagine?
Wait, I did.
Like the absolute fuck you. You know,
God.
it's just ridiculous, Mojo Jojo. Like, you know, like
That's from the Powerpuff Girls, or right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mojo Jojo.
even Mojo Jojo has daddy issues. That's true. I think he does have daddy issues.
Jojo,
But,
do
yeah.
you have daddy issues?
I don't know.
But I want to get back to you, Jojo, about the whole Dolph Ziggler champion thing, because I know you had a lot to say about this.
Oh,
Yeah,
and
sorry, Jojo.
That wasn't what I wanted to talk about. It was the Daniel Bryan, because I
this
totally
one.
disagree with you, brother. Totally disagree with you, because I think Batista winning the Rumble was the plan to take on Randy in the main event. And all the way back at SummerSlam 2013, when Punk was still in the company, Bryan was majorly over, bro. So, like, I agree with you in ways, but in the same way, like, he got over way before Punk was gone.
Oh, I didn't say he
But-
didn't get over. I'm just saying, like, Triple H versus Daniel Bryan wasn't going to happen. That would have led him into the main event of WrestleMania. That story, that match, that title match for Bryan would not have happened. And it was only because CM Punk had quit, walked out right before WrestleMania. The match between Triple H and CM Punk was already in the process of being made. And then when CM Punk left, something had to be done, right? We're already, by the Royal Rumble? After the Royal Rumble, I'm sorry. So there's not a lot of time. There's not a lot of time between here and WrestleMania. So you got to choose the next best thing. The next best thing was Daniel Bryan.
Oh.
Yeah, but like I still believe that the people got Bryan over. Like, if it wasn't for them, he even said, bro, that if it wasn't for them, he wouldn't have main evented WrestleMania. He literally said it.
Yeah, but
And I truly believe that crowd got
and
over.
there might be a
That's
lot of
what he
truth to
said.
that. I think that definitely swayed Vince to allow it to happen. I mean, mind you, he probably needed a whole lot of swaying to allow that to happen. Like, he had to allow Kofi Kingston to win, and just to really fuck us over the next night, you know, have him lose it to Brock. But that's besides the point. You know, there might be a lot of truth to that with that, you know,
Oh, God.
with the fans getting over, you know, Daniel Bryan to the main event of WrestleMania. But again, we're doing it now with LA Knight, and what have we gotten in return?
Nothing yet. He loses at Money in the Bank, which he should have won, bro. Let's all be real. LA Knight should have won that briefcase. I know Priest is doing good, but man, I still think LA Knight holding that briefcase would have been so much better.
Oh, bro, I'm trying so hard not to laugh my ass off right now. Oh.
Y'all fans are absolutely ruthless.
They're like the ECW crowd. They just
ECW.
Like, absolutely ruthless.
And like, you know what, bro, it's kind of crazy, man. You know what? I just got to read this. I'm sorry. Jojo, my daddy left me on my birthday too. Crying face, crying face, crying face. I miss you, daddy. And then it says, hold on, wait. Daddy, why you die?
Gosh.
Oh, God. LA Knight's time will come.
Chill.
Yeah, I don't. How do you know that though, man? Like, you know how many times I've seen reports saying that they were gonna push him, and then nothing happened. Like, I want to hope it happens, but
bro, the reports are just a bunch of marks who want you to watch their YouTube channel, and so they'll put anything in the fucking reports they can. You know, that's why I don't listen to them, because, like, how many times have we seen now, there have been times the reports have
there's
been
been a
true,
lot of times, bro.
but how many times have the reports been false?
Yeah, I agree, but bro, first they said we were gonna have Money in the Bank. Like, bro, like it just, how do you have this guy over and you don't push him in the Money in the Bank? Like, you literally have him there at the moment, and then he gets launched off literally by Priest. Like, you had the crowd at the top of their feet, and then Damian won. And like I said, I love Damian. He's great and all, but man, I don't know. Like,
I stabbed him with a butter knife.
what?
Your fans are foul. Foul. Foul-y foul.
Oh, shit. Oh. I guess the knife went through like butter.
Trust and believe WWE is going to capitalize on LA Knight. I think they trying to get the bloodline thing out the way. Yeah, I mean, to a point, yes, but I also think they're doing it at the same time that they're trying to get the bloodline story at the end. I hit the body. Oh my god.
Oh my god. What, bro? You guys are funny, man. Like,
oh my god, crazy. I can't with none of y'all. Y'all are fucking wild. All right. Yeah, I don't know what to say anymore. I'm good. Like, next match. Let's get to the.
Wait, is that Triple H holding the rubber chicken?
That is.
No, what is it? Jay White, and then what is it? Is it the main event now?
Oh, yes, sir. We were done with Jay White versus Metalik, and then after that, I believe that it was main event, Absolute Ricky Starks versus best in the world, the real world champion, CM Punk. But real quick, I just got to ask one thing. So CM Punk's the real world champion, but MJF is the Triple B. Do you think there's a potential we eventually have a unification title match?
I'm going to let JoJo go first on this, and then I'm going to say my thing, and then that'll be that.
I do believe so that we will, but man, I love CM Punk, but he ain't the real world champion. There's one real world champion. He's on Wednesday nights, and he's better than him and us, and we know it.
He ain't better than me. I whip that motherfucker's ass Monday through
Saturday. No, he's better than you, and you know it.
It's mad. I have to do it.
No, he's better than us, and we know it for sure. I have a T-shirt.
No, he's better.
I have a T-shirt to prove it. Listen. The reason why a bitch Punk decided to get another belt is because he was upset, like always, that no one wanted to hang out with him at the playground anymore. So he built his own playground. And now only a certain amount of people are allowed on there. I mean, listen, Santa Punk decided to gift us early with another bullshit ass title because he's upset that there's a real champion that's better than him and he knows it. That's been showcasing his talent each and every week. So to me, this I'm not even reading your comments anymore. The CM Punk is trash these days.
I disagreed. He's not. He's not trash. Is he the best? No, but he's not trash.
Did that just really say what I just think it said?
Yeah.
The emojis and Moan and Punk, yeah.
No,
and then
read the one after that.
Yeah. I don't know what that emoji is. Oh.
That's Vince's favorite animal.
So yeah, going back to Punk and everything, it's I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked we have another championship. I'm not shocked that CM bitch decided to bring out a new belt and cause havoc within the AEW community by crowning himself a champion, saying he never lost it. You lost it the moment you open your mouth. That to me is where you draw the line. So that's where, to me, he lost. Moxley won, and then Moxley lost to the real king of professional wrestling, and that's MJF. So that's where we're at. If he wants to figure out where it happened, he can go back to the tapes and the videos. They're all on YouTube TV or on the streaming services or whatever, and he could go back and watch his downfall again. I don't know what to really say. Like, for me, Punk was a great wrestler at one point. Now he is not where he should be or where he wants to be himself. I don't think Punk is as good as he once was. I think his return has been very rough on Punk. His in-ring ability is still a little stale. And his promos are not hitting the same way like they used to.
I agree.
It's not Punk. It's just Phil Brooks out there trying to save face and make himself feel better that now he has his own TV show on his own time, on his own day about him. He starts the show, he ends the show. I mean, Jesus, like, we're going to have a pay-per-view all about him, like, is next, like,
Oh, my God, we could have the best in the world pay-per-view. And we could have Shane
that
McMahon.
Is one I will not buy.
Shane McMahon,
Bro, see,
CM Punk. Hold on, wait. Shane McMahon versus CM Punk versus Chris Jericho in a best in the world triple threat match.
I will not be buying that pay-per-view.
I see what Dylan means. Like, I do agree that he's not the greatest. Like, he's not the best at the moment. Like, I agree a lot of people are better, but he's still good. My bad. My cats are fighting. Hold on.
It's all right. My dog's barking, so don't worry about it.
CM Punk's in-ring ability left him long ago. It probably got knocked out of UFC fight.
Honestly, I think his last good match that he had was either the
Revolution.
one that he was, Revolution, or the one against Moxley. But again, like we said prior, the wear and tear that these guys are willing to do on their bodies, the trips, the 200 plus days out of the year traveling, the house shows, the pay-per-views, all of that, the training, the crazy rigorous schedule, it takes a toll. This man also did TV shows. He did movies. He's in the heels on Stars. He's in the new Mayan TV show.
He's doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so, I don't fault the guy for not being a top of the game as he once was a year, 9 months, 10 months prior, but I don't think we needed a whole show that's circulated around him. That I don't think that he should be the center of attention Saturday night. I don't even think MJF should be the center of attention on Saturday night. I'd rather it be a mixture of the talent roster that we do have that's not being showcased, that's being underutilized, that's not being developed or worked upon on Rampage, showcased on Collision and Rampage a lot more. Honestly,
How do you feel about
Rampage.
the comment, Dylan?
What does it say? So it says
CM
the fact Tony Khan.
CM Punk is a crybaby. He lost my respect.
Yeah, he is 100%.
And then it says,
listen, JoJo. I know you're a big fan of him, and I was too at one point. But like Ronda Rousey, like Hulk Hogan, like anybody going out there that bashes the company or make the company that's knocking down a lot of doors for them to succeed and put food on the table for years to come and 6-7 figures a year to come in. You're willing to go out there and embarrass yourself on a media scrum and then on Twitter and on Instagram and try to do tweets and woe is me. It's like,
and you gotta remember,
man, like
that's
it's
wrong
not
of
needed.
him.
And
I did believe that was wrong of him.
I get him doing it at WWE because he was.
No,
he was
I couldn't get him doing it at WWE because Triple H and Vince would have fired his ass right on the spot.
Yeah.
And another thing, Tony Khan took it like a bitch and sat there. And then another thing too, CM Punk is one of the most paid guys in the company. As far as the in-the-ring wrestler, CM Punk is one of the most paid guys under the elite. I do not see how you feel that this company who is putting bags upon bags into your fucking bank account, you can go run your dick sucker on.
I agree, man. Like I said, like he what he said is wrong, and I agree that he's not like he was. Like he at the time in 2011, Punk was one of the best, in my honest opinion. But right now, he's still good. To me, he's just I don't see him competing. Now. I don't see him competing for like 5 years. I see honestly maybe 3 tops, and like I still like him. I'm still behind him, but I will agree that he is kind of hard to deal with. He's very like moody in a way.
I agree.
Sam, I am. Punk is close to being a Ryback.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. Like Ryback's
No. Ryback's a big bitch, but I'm just saying, like, he's very close to it.
Like Jamaican ass.
The guy.
CM Punk's in-ring ability is vacant. And
He's not the best, but
I eat the
he's,
Jamaican booty.
What?
I'm happy for you, buddy.
I'm proud of you. CM Punk versus LA Knight will be different. Imagine that. Ooh,
No.
LA Knight. Let's see.
I wouldn't want to see Phil Brooks fight LA Knight. No.
Yeah,
I
LA
poured
Knight's
milk
my
on my
guy.
dad's grave today.
That's crazy. What these comments, bro? Milk?
On your dad's grave.
Are you Kurt Angle now? The milk of man.
The fact that Tony Khan created a whole other show that for CM Punk shows how weak of a leader he is. He's also a great Tony Khan. He's living out his hero. Bags and bags of money. Not a hobby, and when you have money, do that. And
I tell you this.
And Tony Khan, little boy playing in the sand, sort of speak, but fucking at the same time, this is a guy that owns his dad $1 billion. The man is smarter than he looks.
Well,
He does good things. He does good things.
His father owns the
human
Jaguars.
being.
His father owns the Jacksonville Jaguars. He does not. Punk. Yeah, no, you're good. Tony Khan is 100% a genius when it comes to creating a different avenue and a different pay scale for wrestlers and letting them be a lot more in creative control of their characters.
And you can
Tony
see
Khan is one of the best in promoting a lot of the pay-per-views that he has given us and delivered us amazing shows that have outcompeted WWE in some set pay-per-views.
yes.
So, where Tony Khan falls apart is the fact that he is doing everything plus some.
To make
There's
people
also Jericho, right? There's also Jericho who's also doing everything plus some. Now, the only thing I do not like Vince Russo at all in the slightest, but Vince Russo has one point that I believe this is what he means by it. I could be totally wrong. He is very much a piece of shit human being, but
fuck it.
yeah, I would say, or maybe I would say more. This is a Cornette thing, is that wrestling promotions with that high of a caliber need writers to continue the direction of the wrestler's creative direction.
Yes.
What I mean by that is that as much freedom as the wrestlers would like to have in the input of their character should never have a limit like the WWE gives them. Though, there needs to be a direction, a beginning, middle, and end for that character's development and growth for the character and the TV and home audience to enjoy.
You know who would be good for the job?
Me. I would love to be.
Oh, yes, you would. Yes, you would. But I'm also going to say you. And you see, you would book the stories. Joe would book the matches. If I'm saying the two of you, because I think your two heads collectively could actually make some really good shit.
I would love to. I would love to write the stories.
I agree,
I'm not going to name myself. I'm not that much of a mark. But
I love this business to death,
I will
bro.
say this. In all respect, I'm not that much of a mark for myself. So what I will say is, if not you two, Freddie Prinze Jr.
No.
That was a fuck
no. No.
Can I get your
He wrote some good freaking. I believe he was in like with Jeff Hardy and the Triple H stuff, right? And then
Jeff Hardy and the Puck stuff.
wait, I swear Triple H.
What?
Goodbye, JoJo. No, I no way. Not no.
Can I at least get your reason why for no?
I don't see Freddie Prinze Jr. that dedicated as a writer to writing week after week, month after month, writing stories that have to last 3 months long. I don't see him doing that. If we're talking about a TV show or something like that, for sure. I feel like Freddie Prinze Jr.'s fandom for wrestling, it weighs a lot more on the Tony Khan side of business booking than him writing as a creative direction. I think his
So
fandom.
is there any that you feel like throw out there that would? Is there any names that you could throw out there that, based off maybe previous storylines or something like that, that you think could contend for a good storyline writer based off the way AEW books itself currently?
It's hard because you don't really know a lot of the producers or writers that are in the WWE that you could give recognition to. I mean, you have Shane Helms, you have Bruce Campbell, you have, Michael Hayes, you have
Jason Gordon.
Hunter. Yeah, you have a
Fully
lot of what's up?
Bully Son too, I think, right?
Bully Son as well. But again, all right, I'll say this. It's a good idea to have a wrestler write the creative direction for the wrestlers, while the wrestlers have the majority creativeness in the direction of their character. Though, you cannot let the character who is writing not only their own story, but stories of others come into the mixture to write for long periods of time storybook. Because at a certain point,
you get Hulk Hogan.
not even that, you get stale. You get shelf roster wrestlers. You get no advancements in stories that could be worth something. You don't get the actual outcome you would want to see. With what Tony Khan has as a businessman is a better product and an exclusive roster lineup that is more extensive than the WWE. Now, the WWE has about 80-something people on the roster. And out of those 80, I believe it was like 30, maybe 40 of them are mentioned or used weekly on television.
Yes.
With the extensive roster that AEW has, they have 3 shows that they can capitalize using this extensive roster on to build for their pay-per-view.
Ring of Honor too, technically.
4 if you want to count Ring of Honor. Dynamite starts off the week for AEW. That is where you start your story building moments. The promos come into play. The story feuds come into play. You start building these characters for what is to come throughout. You sprinkle in throughout these 2 to 3 max promos on Dynamite, wrestling of actual good, hard-hitting action that keeps people on their toes throughout the whole entire show. And you mix that with good promos, you have a 4 out of 5 show. Where Rampage starts is you start it with kind of extending the story with 1 or 2 of those feuds starting on Rampage with the hour that you have. And on Collision, you wrap it up. Or you continuate the story at the last 2 to 3 matches, having it end with a main event moment. Whether it's a match, whether it's an incident, whether it's a moment, you have to have that main event matter. Because if the next night is a pay-per-view or if the next time these guys are seen on TV is Wednesday, you want Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Did you see what happened on Collision? Did you see how it ended? Did you see what happened on Dynamite? What an amazing match we had on Rampage. You rebuild the lost product that is not there anymore on 3 shows exclusively to give the consumer exactly what they want.
That's fucking
A well-drawn out story that lasts throughout 3 episodes, wrestling matches that keeps the fans engaged from the moment it starts to the moment it ends, and an idea that there is a possibility that there ain't no way something else can happen going into a pay-per-view moment. And then at the pay-per-view itself, you capitalize. You capitalize. You have to either end the stories or, like how they've done with the Bloodline, continue them in jaw-dropping moments that people need to buy this pay-per-view. That where the 0 hour is a hour pre-show of intense, hard-hitting wrestling that not only stretches for ROH wrestlers, but AEW Dynamite or Collision or Rampage or all 3, men and women, setting up the pay-per-view itself. Because
you
in
can
those
save
0 hours, you can build stories that last, that go into the following week, that can be recapitalized on Rampage on that following hour.
Bro, you're fucking genius. You just saved Rampage and also just built more depth and story while giving a lot of other wrestlers time on over 3 or 4 different shows. Like, and on top of that, too, when you said bring in the intensity and giving a hard hitting pre-show, which earlier to your point, that's an hour in the show. You said they give you an hour of great wrestling for free that they normally don't have to give, and if they only went with more storylines on those pre-shows, you would have more of an incentive to watch. And, you know, we all know, as we're a part of it, the YouTube algorithm and stuff, and I'm sure the AEW gets monetized, no doubt about that.
For sure.
So the more eyes that you have tuned in on that, more monetization YouTube money. And I honestly think that creates more money for the guys on the pre-show, because if you remember how wrestling pays, the main eventers get the bigger bag, whereas the openers don't. But if you're getting these endorsement deals for the pre-show, you can maybe add a little extra to that bag. And so it makes everything a win-win situation with the way you just explained that. Like, that's fucking genius.
Yeah. No, that's how I think of it. Because you have a product that has such an extensive roster, that has such an extensive amount of untalented and untapped potential, where you consistently, and I mean, I feel like everybody at this point now can almost bet their paychecks on seeing the same exact amount of wrestlers and the same stars each and every week, with storylines that either begin off strong and end weak, or don't even really do much for the story or the character development throughout the shows. And Rampage has become this joke where after SmackDown, nobody's going to want to watch another hour of wrestling if in that hour of wrestling we get 2 matches that are decent and promos that don't matter. You know,
Yeah.
you can
You know, I stopped watching Rampage a couple months ago because of that.
Yeah. But you could turn Rampage into something more. You could turn Rampage into the Battle of the Belts that people want to see. You turn Rampage into a 2-hour show that people have to turn into. You have to see Tony Storm this week. You have to see Hikaru Shida. You have to see the Bunny. You have to see Sky Blue. Because now the women's division, right, but now you have a women's division that face off on a Rampage that becomes exciting. You now build throughout 3 shows a solid foundation of story with equal balance wrestling, with talented superstars that haven't gotten good pushes or pushes that have then later kept them on the shelves, and not solely focus on main objective superstars and have them, of course, still stay in the limelight, but have them start working with a lot more talent to bring them up. So if Tony was able to give me that opportunity, do it, because you'll make your money. Like it's a process. It's going to take some adjustment. It's going to take some time. We have to let a lot of the stories that happening now finish, but you started at full gear. You started, where your ending pay-per-view is, where winner and struggle starts, and that's how you project going into Revolution. That's how you go into Double or Nothing. That's how you go into, All In, All Out. That's why, like I said, like All In should be a pay-per-view. You should buy All In, because besides the card lineup, what we're actually about to see, if we're going to get just good Dynamite show and a good Collision show put on All In, it's going to be one of the worst executions of AEW, when they're literally being given the ball of an accolade that is probably never going to be touched again for many years to come, but possibly something that happens again once a year, and maybe different countries now, if this works really well.
What they're doing too, is they're opening another market, and it's something that it took WWE years to get off the ground, going into other countries and actually having outside of North American fans really truly be invested. And I think with the crowds we've seen with WWE out of London, Clash at the Castle is a great example. I think there is a passionate fan base, especially for the kind of wrestling that AEW offers, to really be lifted off the ground. But like you said, it's the execution. And one of the things that me and JoJo have been concerned about, that we brought up on the show, is that you kind of didn't push the pay-per-view enough, when you had more time to do so. It's been only in like the last 2-3 weeks, and it's like, damn, you couldn't have built this up just a little bit more.
Yeah, and with All In, you need to have superstar-studded matches. You need to have those holy shit factors. You need to have those things happen, especially on one of the biggest stages you're going to get in a very long time. And again, if this works out and this is talked about for the rest of this year, you have something that nobody else will ever get. And you need to execute it properly. So having matches like a Samoa Joe and Punk, as much as we, as the fans, may want it, it's not an all-in pay-per-view. It's an all-out. An all-out. There's no doubt about it. But it's not an all-in.
I'd kind of rather they do it at all-out anyways, because then you give it more time to build. But what they could do at all-in, because there's always those no one gives a fuck matches, like their second and
but you don't have them.
Well, they kind of do.
I know, but that's you eliminate that. You have to eliminate that. Because then if you don't eliminate those squash matches, the matches that don't matter on a pay-per-view, just to fill the time,
it's just kind of like a certain placement, I always think, because the first match gets you off your feet, but then you're kind of drained in the second match, but then you pick up in the third, then you drop in the fourth, and then if the fifth match is the main event, it can kind of be 50-50 depending on how long the show went. And so I always like to say match before the main event, and then the match right after the first match are the dead matches. And if you did say CM Punk versus Ricky Starks, and you gave them say 20 minutes, and Ricky Starks is actually getting more to rub. He's kicking CM Punk's ass, and then CM Punk starts beating the shit out of him at the end at ringside, and you could have Samoa Joe come out of nowhere and choke him out, and then that that doesn't really hurt Ricky because it's not a loss, but it's not a loss on Punk. But then it also builds into All Out a little bit more, and then at least in that second or right before main event match spot, you have something to talk about that's going to go into further booking, and maybe on the next week on Collision.
Right, but if I were to do it, you eliminate that. If you're gonna go to Wembley Stadium, if you're gonna go to New Jersey, you're gonna go to Connecticut, you're gonna go wherever to watch this pay-per-view, you'd rather stand up for the first match, sit down for the second one, stand up for the third one, maybe sit down for the fourth, maybe stand up for the fifth and sixth, then sit down for the seventh, eighth, ninth. Then the 10th match comes, you stand up and you go, okay.
I don't want 20 matches on the show. Fuck that.
No, but if I give you 9, and out of 9, 8 are amazing, you have something. If I give you 9 and 9 are fantastic, you have something.
And that's what I like about NXT TakeOver, right? Because with NXT TakeOver, the match quantity was not a lot, but the quality was something. And, and that's my biggest problem about WrestleMania. It doesn't need to be 2 nights, and it don't need to be 5 hours long. And same with the AEW promos, pay-per-views, I'm sorry. They're going to be great matches.
5 hours, yeah.
But they don't need to be that long. So maybe if we did like 6 really good matches.
4 hours tops, that's it.
Yeah, you're good. I'd say 3. Like, honestly, because
I could bang it in 3. I could definitely get it done in 3. I just...
Yeah, 6 good matches.
If you really want to draw it out, let's do 4, but have a point to it.
Okay.
Like if I'm like, okay, well, it's SummerSlam, I'm going to drop 3 major returns. It needs to be 4 hours because these 3 major returns are going to set up such and such and such for Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, and NXT. Okay, let me do that. Boom, bada bing. Get it in there. Otherwise, 3-hour cap, I'm totally fine with. One day, one show, one night for WrestleMania. Make it a Saturday. Do the 4-hour show. Call it a day. Have Sunday be where everybody can talk about it, podcast about it, what have you. So that way, people are continuously talking about it. Monday before Monday Night Raw. Tuesday before NXT. Friday before SmackDown stuff. You know what I mean? Like that's what you want out of the product. You need the product to be talked about after it's over, not just during and before and leading to it. You need it to be talked about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all the way back to each one of the shows that follow suit that are related to that pay-per-view. And if you don't do that, then you could throw whoever the fuck you want on these pay-per-views and do whatever you like, because then people are going to talk about that compared to anything else.
And that's why I wish they would have started the booking for All In just a little sooner, maybe about a week or before, because what you could have done is you could have actually built more to the stories that were going to be on Match, like something that really pissed me off. And I want to know how you feel about this. So it's August now, right? It's been about 9 months going on since Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee split. We still, in that period, since December, have not had a one-on-one match. But then for some reason, even though we're supposed to be building up to All In, we get a random-ass tag match that, let's be honest, didn't really mean shit.
Correct.
And so it's kind of like, what the fuck? Why did we have that match when we could have gave that time to something that was actually going to mean something going to the pay-per-view?
Right. I remember watching at Full Gear the Keith Lee and Swerve breakup. Me and Sam got to watch that live, and fucking blew my mind. And I figured they were going to capitalize on it, but they didn't. And they tried to. They talked about it. They injured Keith Lee. They put the brick on him. Whatever. Now you get the tag match. They worked together really well, like normal.
Mm-hmm.
But there was no finish. There was no oh, this is something. This is did Keith Lee turn? Did he join? Did he forgive? What's he doing with
Yeah,
Dustin?
like, the fuck.
Yeah, what is this? And that's where then they just dropped it. And then Nick Wayne came into play. And now we have a very good story with Nick Wayne. I'm very excited to see where Swerve and Nick Wayne and AR Fox and all of that are going to go.
Yeah, storyline
Darby
with the kids
stuff.
is good. But what about Keith
It's
Lee?
great. But what about Keith Lee? And it goes back to having an extensive roster that you, even though you have 3 shows, where are you putting him? What are you doing with him? He's a talented superstar. What is going on with him? Is it a scheduling thing? Is Keith Lee that busy where he can't be at such and such shows? If that's the case, then that makes sense. But then you have to write him off until he has a 6-month window of freedom where you can create a 6-month story, a beginning, a middle, and end for Keith Lee.
Right.
Because if you just go, hey, we're going to bring him tag team gold, then they're going to break up on a pay-per-view, then they're going to have some fights, then they're going to do this. Oh,
Yep.
wait, but now we're going to injure him. Swerve's going to do this new thing now. The moguls aren't working. Let's get rid of those 2 guys that isn't working anymore.
Yep.
Let's bring in Prince Nana, Brian's Cage, Big Cass. Okay, we like this. Let's bring back Keith Lee and Dustin Rhodes. Okay, cool. But now let's team Keith Lee up with Swerve. Okay. But now how are we finishing it?
Exactly.
And now we're not finishing it, so now it's
Pointless.
what is this? Right. It's a waste of a card that could go to someone new. It is a waste of a card that could go to another story to be built.
So, and was this
That's
theory
what I want to eliminate from Tony Khan's roster. Because those are easy throwaways.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to compare it to music for a second, when a hip hop artist creates an album, he throws away singles for people to get excited for. And
Yeah.
sometimes the singles are fire, right?
Yep.
And then you're like, oh, well, you know what? Maybe the album's going to be good.
And then the album ends up being kind of
Booty cheeks.
Yeah.
Booty cheeks.
It's kind of like, what was it? Fucking when NMM first came back in like 2008, 2009. Fucking what was it? Relapse or something?
I liked it.
I mean, bro.
I listen. It was a lot. Listen, a lot of voices, a lot of weird verbs, a lot of weird songs. I get it, but when you, and this is why like I said to you before. Well, I've said to you prior, but when artists put out a single, then for us to eat, so that way we get excited for the album, then take that single and put it on the album is a throwaway that nobody wants to listen to.
Yes.
If you're going to give me 3 a.m., then make it the second song on the album of the other songs that we haven't heard yet, or Crack a Bottle, or what have you, then put it on the album. I'm skipping it.
Exactly, bro.
Then your album doesn't have fluidity.
That's
if
true.
you don't have fluidity,
You don't have a good
your
album.
album, there's no good album.
You got that. You're right
Let
about that.
the
Because the album is to tell people.
fans pick the single. Let your fans pick the hot song to be replayed. Because those are the people who are going to come back and make others listen to your songs. If I create an album and I throw away 5 songs to the public, But then I take those 5 songs that worked with the public and I put it on my album. And now 5 songs already on the album and the other 6.
You know, now that we're talking about
there,
hip-hop,
it's like whatever.
Now that we're talking about hip hop, and I know you're a big hip hop head, who are if you had to say the 5 goats of all time, top 5 in the industry, who are we naming?
Nas,
Okay.
Big
Legend.
L,
Okay.
M,
Okay.
DJ Kool Herc.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Because we don't have hip hop without him.
You're right. He's got to be on that Mount Rushmore.
Dre.
That's fair. That's fair because without Dre,
We don't have any of the new generation of Eminems and shit that we have now.
No Snoop Dogg's, no none of that, bro.
No.
For me, so my goats go as followed: Tupac, NBA YoungBoy, and both of those are similar causes, though.
Okay.
It's because they're both real in everything that they say. It's not a front. It is who they are, and they're telling you a story based off the way their life has progressed. I fuck with that on a deeper level. Fucking Eminem, go. Fucking I would also throw in Nas, and fucking I gotta say fucking, if not Biggie, Lil Wayne.
Yeah, Wayne. You could throw in.
The reason I throw in Wayne is because Wayne is a really good lyricist.
You could throw in Mobb Deep. You could throw in Prodigy. You could throw in. I just had his name on the top of my head and I can't remember it. There's a lot of people. MF Doom.
You know, I'd even throw in Melly. I think Melly's got one of the best voices in the game.
Melly, like.
Yeah, YNW Melly.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't listen to him, so I can't say. I know the one famous song, but I don't.
I mean, it's just when it comes to voices in the game, he's got one of the best.
Right. That's fine. Listen, I respect the 5. I respect it. I have no problem with it.
And I mean, you know, and there's always more that, you know, I could name, but those are the guys that really captivated me. And you got to really throw in E, man. That man, from the time I was about 4 years old to this day, something of his I am playing. And fucking, like, I'll give you this.
Wait, who?
Eminem.
Oh, M. Oh.
Yeah, like, Till I Collapse is one of those ones that anytime I need to be motivated or focused on something, it just always gets me in the right fucking headspace. You can't talk about E and not mention the Way I Am. If you're ever pissed off or you're working out, there's a good one. And maybe this is why I'm thinking of him right now, because I've started working out again to try to get some of this weight off. And fucking, I've been playing a lot of Eminem. He just fucking hypes me up a lot.
You want a hot take?
Huh.
Eminem has never missed on an album.
Facts. And I agree with you. And even 50 Cent said
And I'm including Revival on there. And I'm including Relapse. And that's why I'm calling it a hot take. Eminem has not missed on an album.
I will say this.
Including Revival and including Relapse. And including Encore.
To me, Encore is fucking incredible. But to me, he is the greatest lyricist of all time.
There's nobody better.
And honestly, bro, fucking 50 Cent said it better himself. He said that, you know, everybody's biggest problem with him is that, you know, he's a white guy in a black dominant industry. And therefore, to a lot of people in the industry, he's not going to be recognized as such, but no one will ever challenge him because if so, just like Machine Gun Kelly,
They
they'll
have.
allow to
They
rap.
have. Yeah, well, Machine Gun Kelly now does rock and roll music, so
He's a bitch.
yeah.
And but look at everybody who's ever went against him and look at every time they lost.
Right. No, I know. But it's so true. But the point being when, comparing hip hop and wrestling and stuff like that is you don't want to have those throwaways. You have those, like look at last night. I mean, now it's Monday, but look at last night. We had or Saturday night, I should say. We had Serpentico versus Samoa Joe. It lasted 10 seconds.
Yeah, that was stupid. But what was it? It was a hardcore match. I think it was a hardcore match. Moxley was in or some fucking shit. But they beat the fuck out of each other.
Oh, everything goes match. Anything goes match with Beretta, Pento, and Moxley on Dynamite. Yeah, for the 200th. Yeah,
Wait, no, Moxley had a match on Rampage, bro.
I see. I missed it because I'm not watching Rampage because Rampage is not exciting.
Do you know the biggest ratings the show ever got was fucking the one where CM Punk debuted?
I'm not. But that should tell Tony something. That should tell Tony something. Tony needs to go back. Tony needs people like me to go like, do you know what you're doing?
And he's like, no.
Just cut it. Just give some of that weight to me.
Yes.
Give some of that weight to Billy Gunn and to Jericho and to Sting and to let's hire some good writers. Let's hire some good direction people. Let's have people who are invested in this business that can pitch us a really good idea. We try it out on shows like a Rampage, give them a good 30 days. If the show's numbers prove to us that they can do something, we give them a Collision. If Collision goes well, we give them a spot on Dynamite. And that's it. You have to realize if you can utilize good directional writers with the talent and creative mindsets of wrestlers conjoined to one, you will have the best era of wrestling by far.
It would
by far.
And I think, honestly, that's what probably, to me, in a lot of ways, even though not everything was perfect, looking back on it now, that's what made the 90s and the 2000s so great.
Yeah.
Because, WWE, even though they had just gone public, it's not like it is now. After they went PG, it was a whole nother ballgame. Yeah. But for that, the wrestlers and the creative, I think, kind of work more hand in hand.
Oh. And they should. Those are the only people that make sense to work together. What the fuck are you gonna have? What are you gonna hire John from down the block because he's a fan, and then John down the block fucking ruins his product in 30 seconds?
Fair.
Stop me from when I'm telling lies. Somebody.
CM Punk.
Stop me from telling lies.
You're not. And just like Jordan said, good point, Dylan. Yes, sir. But
you make it easy.
Exactly. And all it takes, and I've said this since day one on the podcast, all you need is some passionate motherfuckers to rate this. People that actually give a fuck and have knowledge of the business. Yeah. And if you can do that, now I don't believe I need to choreograph with you every last detail of the match. You know what made some of the best matches
great? List, Jordan.
It was I love Tupac. Oh shit! I should have named Easy on there too. That's never gonna want to. Fuck yeah, bro. And see, I always feel like Tupac and Biggie. While I love them both, I always feel like it's hard to put them in the same top 5, even though I recognize them both as one of the greatest. Fucking, I think I don't know if just keeping things together, it just makes sense to have them separated because I always feel like it's just like MGK fans and NMM fans. It's one or the other.
Yes, it is.
And for me, I'm always going to choose Tupac. No doubt about that.
Yeah.
But now back to the point on wrestling, though. All you need is some passionate people who fucking care. And if you can do that, and what I was saying about not choreographing the matches, you don't need to plan out a match in advance unless like you're doing some like real crazy shit. But if it's just a standard wrestling match, just let them call it out in the ring.
That would be one thing I would like to add to the business. The unexpectancy.
Yes. Because I think that's where the F word gets passed out the most in wrestling. It's that the outcomes are predetermined.
Well, yeah. I mean, sometimes you have to have that. I think we've become so comfortable with the idea of having that letting talented wrestlers wrestle and truly getting a win
Could never happen.
Can never happen, though it should.
Because back in the day, it used to. When Bruno Sammartino was the champion, that's how wrestling legitimately was. That's why he was the champion.
Mind you, we still have rules, poking in the eye, no low blows, no crazy shit like that. We're not, out here trying to kill each other. Maybe not so many, we're not taking any headshots with the chair because of CTE. We're not trying to actually damage our superstars. But if the superstars can genuinely wrestle, like actually come from an Evolve or an indie promotion.
How do you feel about having an off season in wrestling? One thing I've been thinking about, and since I've been reading in like Brett Favre and stuff, and with his CTE, and how I guarantee you when he dies, he's gonna have a brain similar to Chris Benoit's, and looking at it, and think about that. Chris, 40 years old, brain of an 80-year-old with Alzheimer's and advanced dementia, and I'm sure Mick Foley maybe has a brain like that. I know concussion scars can heal when you stop trauma over time. Like Christian, his head healed because he stopped wrestling for a few years. He gave his head time to heal. So I know it can be reversed if the damage is not too extensive. But I kind of wonder, with what we know of CTE in the NFL and what we know a little bit in pro wrestling with concussions and, of course, Benoit with CTE. It makes me wonder, does WWE need an off, and actually any wrestling, do they need an off season?
No, the wrestlers need more time off. If a wrestler gets injured, if any part of the body of a wrestler gets injured, they need to take time off for it to heal properly. Now, again, there's arguments to be made about, well, then what happens with the story? Then how do you book that now? What's the outcome of that? What happens if you start a show and the first match, someone twists their ankle, their knee blows out, they, get thrown over the top rope and they, like Bianca, smash their knee on the steel steps. What happens? Well, that's where you got to come up with a plan B. That's where that first story that you wrote out that you're banking on, that second one you never have to pull out. Right. Or that third one you never have to pull out. And then after that, then you just got to wing it. I don't know what to tell you at that point. Like, that point, it's just like, if all three fucking fail, like, Houston, we have a problem. Like, we just, we're really just in the fucking middle of the ocean here without a paddle. To me, we need to have multiple outcomes that, in case such and such were to happen, if part one fails, part two succeeds, where we could still recover the story and make it interesting, then okay. But giving them an off season, it could work, But then what? Like what? Are we giving them November to February? Are we giving?
No,
Are we
I
only
would probably
doing
say maybe like
March to
you know
October?
you know
Like,
how
what's the thing?
WWE's business slows down between WrestleMania and SummerSlam. I would probably say maybe like a month, maybe a month or two after WrestleMania.
So you're saying May, June?
Yeah, maybe just May. I think a month would be fine. 30 days just to kind of relax, recover a little
Really,
bit.
you think so? Really, it's April, May.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah,
It's
April or
3
May.
weeks of April, including the month of May.
Yeah. And in that,
Okay.
and think about this. In that downtime, it gives the wrestlers time to recover, but also you as the writer should be coming up with ideas so that when we go back on the road, we already have a direction of where we're going.
Yeah, no, it's very beneficial.
Um,
Are we only doing that though for AEW and WWE? What about the indie shows now? You know what I mean? Like those are the questions then that would come. Because
yeah,
if you're going to
and
if
with
you're
the indie
going to
shows,
say
I feel like it would depend on the promoter more because the indie guys they book themselves, wherever they can get booked. So that's more like you have a free schedule to kind of flip flop a little bit.
right. See, like I think fans would not enjoy that.
I agree, but the reason why I say some fans wouldn't mind it is because we all know as fans, if you've been watching more than 10 years, that's WWE's drop off period.
No, we
And
know that for sure. There's no argument there.
we have 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. The 3 weeks of April, 4 weeks of what, March or May, whatever.
May.
What May? Well, anyways, if we had those, that would give the wrestlers' bodies time to recover. The story
Surgeries,
ideas.
everything.
The higher ups can figure out who they're going to push going at that time based off of maybe previous merch sales leading into WrestleMania and in the event itself, things like that. And so then when we come back, everybody's minds are more fresh and, we have a clear direction going forward. Now, the fans that are passionate as maybe a JoJo, hell no, they will not be happy about this. And that's because JoJo lives, breathes, sleeps, eats, consumes this business more than he does his own family, respectfully. So I don't see a fan I don't see a fan that passionate being happy. Not in that regard. But the off seasons don't have to be at the same time. You see
Well, let me ask you this question then.
Mm-hmm.
If let's say April, May we're off, June till April we're on, are there house shows still?
No, I would cut out house shows. We see that the most injuries and actually career-threatening ones have happened at house shows. I'm
going to tell you now, you cut out house shows, those ticket prices and merch prices go up.
That's true, and I understand that.
And that's where you could lose people.
And that is true because we're already living in a rough economy with inflation and shit. So I can understand the consumer not wanting to pay more, but at the same
time, it's not affording.
Well, yeah, that too.
Yeah. That's the bigger problem.
WWE just sold their company for $9 billion. All right, $9 billion. All right, they can take a profit loss and still keep a profit, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, listen, WWE could take 3 months off and not really budge in their financial department. But the problem is the moment that they come back and they hit up North Carolina, they hit up Wisconsin, they hit up California, they hit up Texas, they hit up wherever to start their Monday Night Raw or their NXT, those ticket prices
now hold up
are going to be expensive.
Because I just told you the company just sold for multi-billions, and that's not including video games, t-shirt sales, any of that shit. I don't think they need to increase the ticket sales at all. They have plenty of money to fall back on because It's kind of like I've always believed this: to make money, you got to be willing to spend money. All right, that's just the nature of the game. And so in
Right.
this
We are
case,
dealing with a business that is not as generous as one of AEW.
that is true.
Now, AEW would work off of this. This is something I think AEW could benefit from. But if we tried it with WWE, it wouldn't work.
But if they didn't
moment-
ticket price, think about this: if they didn't increase the ticket prices, because like I said, with the money they're making, they really don't need to. And fucking, what you do is now you're not making the money off the house shows. That is true. So you now have less to focus on, though. So you have more to focus on Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, NXT. So now we're getting viewers back, all right? Because if you can make the product worth watching, people will tune in. And fucking then when your pay-per-views happen, you're good, in which they've already seen record-breaking profit. But fucking when the pay-per-views happen, they build up into pay-per-views enough that I want to spend the money on the 10.99 or the 9.99 whatever a month. And that's the way that I see that, because you're getting more bang for your buck. Sometimes it's not the quantity, it's the quality.
Right. My rebuttal. If AEW were to go off air April, May, work only June to March,
Okay.
having full gear in March,
Yep.
first week of March. So this would give them really 2.5 months off.
But mind you, they don't have to have the same off season. So if like
right. So AEW has 2.5 months off. WWE has a month and a half off. Now,
okay.
if you do it correctly, there is a way to do it correctly. Merch sales will keep the wrestlers afloat during that time for AEW. For WWE, it is very different. They are getting paid handsomely for their shows. So the wrestlers are getting paid handsomely for their appearances and matches. This wouldn't affect them as much as it would for a company like AEW, who isn't worth $1 billion. But if you were to try something like this, AEW being the ones to think outside the box, have this as an idea, works out well for the consumer, but it has to work out better
for the wrestler,
the athletes. Now, mind you, they can still go and wrestle during this 2-month period off wherever.
Once again, he's booked themselves.
Right. But, you know, for the writers, yes. There's a lot of benefits to this. But it works smoother for WWE due to the fact that they are a $1 billion company. It doesn't work as smoothly for AEW without X, Y, and Z happening during that off season.
Yeah.
So the Twitch streams, the endorsement deals, the replays, the rebuys of pay-per-views, stuff like that have to be done and promoted and marketed correctly so that 2-month off span, if wrestlers want to be home, they can be home.
Because, you know, the one thing that I get tired of, and it is a true fact, and I said it earlier in the show, that wrestlers are, out of any athlete, out of any sport you prefer to name, are more likely to die before the age of 40 than anyone. And it's like, you know, this business is really growing. Like I said, the schedule used to be 300 days a year. That was only 20 years ago. And so, you know, and I can understand, you know, the body and the trauma taking on it, because, you know, I've only had 5 concussions my whole life. But I can tell you how I got diagnosed with absent seizures And then it also played a few other parts as far as chronic migraine, stress-induced migraines as well. And it ended up fucking up a lot of shit for me,
Okay.
mental health-wise and stuff. And so just under having those 5, wrestlers have hundreds, I assume. I can only imagine, wrestling 300 days a fucking year, taking that many bumps. I'm not surprised there wasn't more than one Chris. I hate to say it like that. I hate to say it like that. But given what we know about the NFL, what I just told you about 5 concussions, and I know the amount they take, something just tells me, like, the amount of CTE that could truly be in wrestlers, probably about 2000, early 2000s backwards, is
Yes,
somehow,
thousands.
yeah.
Thousands. 100%. There's no argument there.
And it's like, so what do we do to
Just
better?
look at what they did. Look at what they did to themselves to make TV the most worthy watching TV shows of each and every week.
Yeah, Edge said it himself,
Just look at
that people didn't take time off because, you take time off, your spot's not there.
out, done, gone.
And Randy, he was talking about when his grandfather was wrestling, there was this thing called AOP, accidentally on purpose. Maybe I go to drop you on your back and I put my elbow underneath you. Now you're fucked up. And oh, I'm sorry. I guess I have your spot now. That used to be a thing in the industry.
Yeah.
And then, I was telling you, it was actually real competition in the time Bruno Sammartino was the champion originally.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can only imagine, they beat the shit out of each other then as well. And that's why, like, I'm very surprised when looking at, what we've seen, like I said, out of NFL, Chris's situation, and knowing the guys that have to have hundreds of concussions. I'm very surprised, and I'm sorry to say this, but I'm surprised we have not seen another Chris Benoit.
I'm happy we haven't seen another Chris Benoit.
Same. But you've seen it in the NFL, right? How many times CTE has driven a motherfucker crazy. Brett Favre's still alive, but he's going through it right now. And when he dies, I wonder, what the brain scan's going to look like.
Mush.
And fucking, didn't you look at, who was the football player doing? Fucking, I think it was about the 90s, maybe the 80s. Fucking dude leads the police on a high-speed chase. The car ends up flipping and catching on fire.
Well, I don't even know that. That's insane.
Yeah, that actually happened. That was a CTE-related incident. There was a player that shot himself.
I'll tell you now. I live in Long Island, and there's a deli that I used to work at. Shout out Pizza Deli. There's a very famous retired football player that played football for the Giants, the Packers, and another team.
Holy shit.
And he walks with a cane, like a one of those like two-handed canes.
Mm-hmm.
And he is in more pain than he's ever been in his life. But he's all there.
This man was an athlete, though.
Yeah, no, superstar. He was a famous athlete.
And then now he walks around hobbled.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
He was either defensive or offensive lineman. And he said he would get hit. Because mind you, the years that he played, the helmet and gear were not as cushy as it is now compared to what it was in the 80s.
Oh, yes.
They had one bar, and it was a helmet, and that was it. So he got hit hard.
You seen what happened to DeMar Hamlin this past? Fucking he died on that field, and fucking I went back and watched it about a couple weeks ago, and fucking you watch him stand up after the tackle. He stands up for a minute, just completely collapses backwards, and all you see is 2 people just start kneeling. And I'm almost wondering in that instance, did everybody know what happened? But if you look, they hit the head, he kind of curves, and then he hits his head 2 more times, falling to the ground before standing up and then falling back down.
It's a violent sport.
Mm. And
You know.
that's why I never got into football as a kid, being honest with you. My dad
No.
tried to get me into it when I was a little boy. I love watching it. You know what I mean? Love playing Madden. I can't do it. Not for me.
I don't blame you. But it's pretty late over here. I don't know if you wanted to wrap up the show. If there's anything else that you wanted to talk about, I love talking to you. Don't get me wrong, but it's 1 a.m. over here. So
it's about
I would like to go to bed, but if there's more you want to talk about, I'm definitely down.
I don't have anything on the top of my head, but I understand you, brother. We're just 5 minutes to midnight, 5 minutes to 1 a.m. for you. I appreciate the hell out of you for coming on here again.
Yeah.
And it's been a wonderful conversation. And I honestly love your ideas and takes on the business. I said
Thank
it to you last night and I said it to you before, but one thing I love having you on here is another reason I love watching your content. You always get me to think. And you have one of the best minds for the business. And if AEW, Tony Khan, somebody like that is watching this show again, I hope they take a look at you, take a look at the content that you provided in just a short amount of time here and the passion you have for this business. You're someone I'd like to see writing shows because you got heart and you have a definite knowledge of what the wrestling industry needs.
Yeah. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I really do. And Jordan's nice comments about me and everything too. I did see that. I appreciate you too, Jordan. Again, my father got me into it at a very young age, late 90s, early 2000s, when I really got into watching wrestling just for shits and giggles. Ken Shamrock was on there, Mankind, a whole bunch of great legends. Eddie kind of got me more into the wrestling styles and the fact that there's different styles of wrestling throughout the years. Eddie was always been my number one. Anytime somebody asks me my top 5, I only got to name 4 because I always know who my number 1 is, no matter where I go. I said it before with Deontay today on the podcast. So I'd say number 5 is Billy Gunn.
Okay.
Number 4 is Randy Orton. Number 3 is, I'm trying to remember the list, but maybe I'll change up 3 and 2 now. 3 would be shit. Who would I put as 3? I'd say damn, that's hard. I don't know now. I forgot what I said as 3 and 2 before.
I'll give you
5 for sure is Billy Gunn. 4 is Randy. Number 1 is Eddie Guerrero. That's easy. I always say 1 for Eddie. You got to give me a minute for 2 and 3.
Yeah, I mean, and I can give you my 5. Maybe it'll help yours.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say this before I get into all time. I'll say my lifetime, because this is just who I grew up on, and it's what.
Yeah, now I remember.
It would be Sean, Benoit, and then I would have to go. Honestly, for me, just getting into the business, Hardy, Orton, and then I'd have to go Brian. And now of all time. The list would be Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair, Bret Hart. I'm going to also throw in AJ Styles because I feel like he belongs on that list. And I'm going to say I got to say I'm going to say Eddie. I'm gonna tell you he's up there. Right behind Eddie would have been the Undertaker. I just feel like Eddie's impact on the business is one that it's untouchable. And from a wrestling perspective, and this is where I was more so going on this list, He was one of the few guys to actually master the business.
Yes, 100%. So yeah, 5 is Billy Gunn, 4 is Randy, 3 is Mick Foley, Mankind, Cactus Jack, Dude Love, the man's a genius. 2 is Sting. 1 is Eddie Guerrero.
Hell yeah, that's one
Eddie Guerrero
hell.
will never change as my number 1. Never. Don't get me wrong. I was a big Jeff Hardy fan, big Benoit fan until he did what he did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Rey Mysterio's up there, Punk's
I
up
hope,
there.
and I hope for anybody watching, when I put Benoit as my number 1 and number 2, because it really does go back and forth between him and Sean. I'm talking anything 2005 backwards. I cannot watch 2006 or 7, Chris. I cannot bring myself to do it.
Yeah, it's hard.
Mm-hmm. So I try to remember the good times.
Yeah.
But
No, it's a hard one.
Especially, Sean was the first guy to get me into the business, but Chris was the first wrestler I got attached to. And I remember, bro, still to this day, it's one of those things where it's emotional to talk about, because it's one of those things that's where I feel like there's no real closure, if that makes sense. I don't think there will ever be a closure.
No.
But yeah, but I will say this, for the times before that, not looking at that part, he was a
hell of a guy.
Same thing with Eddie. He was a master of the business, and he was a hell of a guy, like you said. I don't think, because I see it as two separate guys. A guy.
And Paul Heyman said it best: amazing athlete, shitty human being.
I wouldn't even see. I can't say that, and the reason why is because, like I said, I know how concussions work personally.
Right.
And I know what they do to you in your train of thought, and I know the dark places they send you to.
Right.
I would honestly have to tell you that I see it more because, look, Chris, I forget whose neck he broke, but he fucking cried the whole time in the hospital because of it. He also is a guy that bawled his eyes out because he was upset he couldn't spend Father's Day with his kids. That doesn't seem like the same guy who would later on go on to do that. I mean, it was, in a sense, it was him, right? But in a way, mentally, if it makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure.
And that's why I see it as two separate people. So when I talk to Chris, I'm more so talking about anything before Eddie passed, probably.
Right.
And, but, fucking, I would say that too. If you look at masters of the business, Eddie, Chris, Brett, Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels. That's your masters.
Yeah, for sure.
But with that said, brother, I really do appreciate the hell out of you. I seriously always love having you on, and I can't wait to do this again. I'm glad we got to fucking do the channel merger, man, to be on. Well, fucking love that. I didn't even know how you did it before this, but that's got me wanting to do more stuff like that, because this was incredible, and I seriously appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, man, it's a really cool feature that Restream does. I like yourself, I pay for the membership as well to be able to do all the fun things that we are able to do for the show, for the fans and everything. And that's always worth it. But the multiple channels, having it on, your YouTube, your Twitter, your thing, and then be allowing me to do it on my YouTube, my Twitch, my Twitter, and all of that fun stuff is another fun feature. I'm going to tell you another fun feature when we get off of here that you definitely want to utilize going forward, because it's seemingly working right now for me. So hopefully it works for y'all as well.
All right, bet. I'd love to hear that, bro. But with that said, to everybody, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. To the two of y'all who made it through the whole 3 hours, appreciate the fuck out of y'all. And goodbye, good night.